Good evening everyone and welcome to this council meeting. This meeting is being live streamed via Zoom webinar facilities, and recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. The meeting is being recorded and will be made publicly available on Council's website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Council acknowledges that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug people and respects the history and culture of the elders both past and present. Now we have Matt Kilby here, who is representing the Catholic parish, to lead us in prayer.
In the name of the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit. Good and loving God, source of every grace and blessing, as we gather for this council meeting, we place ourselves before you, for you are filled with beauty and light, and care deeply for each of us. Help us to listen before speaking, help us to respect and understand the opinions of others, help us to trust one another and to share with openness, give us the courage to speak for those who have no voice. May your light enfold us, may your spirit guide us, may your grace abound in us. Make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. Father, Son and Holy Spirit.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Record of attendance, we have a leave of absence request from Councillor Watt. Over a second, please. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Graham. All those in favour? Motion is passed. Are there any declarations of interest for this meeting? Councillor Graham?
I have a non-pecuniary significant interest in item 10.1, which is isolation.
Oh, right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. There are no presentations this evening, but Zach Rollinson would like to have 3 minutes to speak for council.
Hi everyone, my name's Jack Rollinson. I'm the president of the radio committee. We submitted a letter to council asking for financial support for a rough stock school that we're looking to run in January next year. So basically it's an optimal performance academy. We've got coaches from the PBR and the NFR in America coming to Australia to coach rough stock riders or how to improve their riding. So at this stage, the school's looking like it's going to cost $100,000 to run. Most of that we'll get back from the booking fee, but we're looking at about a $15,000 loss to put the school on. So me and Bree worked out that most of that, about $14,000 of the money is going to go straight back into the local business for food, gym hire, showground hire, etc. Plus the 50 participants that we're going to cap the school at that will come to town, as well as 20 to 30 extra people to help come and put the school on, which will all be filling up their vehicles at service stations, staying at the motels, eating dinner at the pub, getting their groceries from our stores and coffee shops and cafes and whatnot. The Opera Performance Academy fellas that are coming have their own videographer that they're bringing with them. We're going to have obviously our town name and our radio logo all around the arena and the training area. They've got a massive following in America, so the town's going to be presented to them, and they do a pretty smink job of all their videos that they put up on their social medias and whatnot. Running this school is going to help our competitor numbers in the future, which in turn should create larger crowds. We've already got fellas from Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria, and a bloke from New Caledonia that are coming to do the school. We run 2 pretty big events a year. We've had a lot of support from local businesses. A lot of them support both events at the Futurity and the rodeo. So we can't really we don't want to keep hammering them for more support to help us put this school on. So that's what we're asking council if they give us a bit of financial support to help us out. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Check. No one else wishes to speak? Okay, confirmation of minutes, item 8.1. Attached, the recommendations for minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 15th of August 2023 be confirmed. Moving and seconded, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, nothing further to add.
Councillor McKibben.
No, nothing. I'm more than happy to second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly no problem with the minutes, not opposed to them. I just had a question. In the minutes, item 13.2, that was the policy relating to accesses into properties. And when we were discussing it, I asked whether the figures given for the required site distances were correct. That didn't look right to me, and you were going to check them. I just wanted to find out whether they had been checked and whether they were right or whether they've been changed.
Through the chair, they are being checked and they are moderately different, so the other ones will be used.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favour? Motion is passed. Item 9.1, the mayoral and deputy mayor election. The recommendation is that an election is required for the positions of mayor and deputy mayor. Then the election is held in open voting in accordance with the council's code of meeting practice. Move in a second, please.
I'd make an amendment. Do we have it secret ballot?
Yes, we can have that amendment. You wish to speak to it?
I just think it's better to have it as a secret ballot. I don't know if I've got a seconder for that.
I'll second it.
Councillor Graham?
Yeah, I'll second that. I think it would be much better to have it.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak to that? All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right.
Sorry, it wasn't an amendment. That was an alternate motion.
Sorry,
Apologies.
sorry.
Got there beforehand.
All those, now that would be the amendment becomes a motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, Mr. General Manager, you'd like to.
Yeah. The insane running the asylum, is it? Is that the nature of the beast? Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. This is item number 9.1, which is the mayoral election for the next 12 months. Currently, I have 2 nominations for the position of mayor. Both have been appropriately delivered. Is there any further? If not, under the recommendation and resolution of council, it will be undertaken by closed ballot, and I will start the process. Better let you know, there are 2 nominations, one from Councillor Helen Hayden and the other one from the existing Mayor Kellum. Has everyone got pens?
I've got some spare ones if anyone needs them. You want a pen? Katie, do you want a pen? Right.
Cut to official. Is there a second
I actually do have
election? Initial voting. Yeah, I know, but. I'm happy to initial if council wants me to initial it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I think there's an error halfway down page 9. It says, should council resolve to use another method of voting, any councillor not in attendance at the meeting can vote. I think it should be can not vote.
So there's 2 points that we need to clarify. The first one is, because you are going to closed vote now,
Yep.
anyone who would have been able to vote remotely now cannot vote, but because Councillor Watt has provided has provided a leave of absence. There was no need for us to set up a video link. I've given you a big bit of paper. Please, can you write your preferred, no, oh, okay. Now, can you please rip it in half?
Good one, Andrew.
We're saving paper, are we?
We are now saving paper. So I request your vote will be written on the piece of paper, folded in half. I'll come by, initial the page to say that I've collected your paper. And then I'll collect, so I'll give you a minute to.
So we just have to write.
You write who
or what?
you,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah. Just make sure I sign the name. Given that there are only 8 councillors in the room, in the event of a tie, the result will be determined by the pick of a name out of a hat. Don't crucify me. That's the way the act works.
Have you got a hat?
We'll provide a hat somewhere along the line.
Garbage bin, fine. You want to just check one thing first? Okay. Make sure my camera's right. So there is a winner, and by 6 votes to 2, Councillor Mark Callum is elected as Mayor for Oberon. Now moving on to the election of Deputy Mayor, I have 2 nominations, both have been appropriately provided. Is there any further? That being the case, I would like to ask councillors, there is Councillor Andrew McKibben and Councillor Lauren Trembath have put their names forward for Deputy Mayor for the next 12 months. Can I please ask you to put your name, who you are supporting, on a piece of paper, and I'll give you a minute to in fact do that. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you for putting on the
Correct weights in. We do have a winner, and returned as Deputy Mayor is Councillor Andrew McKibben. Congratulations to both the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor for the next 12 months. Look forward to working with you in that time. My duties are now complete, and I'll pass back to the Mayor for return to the business paper.
Just a quick second. We're going to be a fair while into this. Would you really bring sponsorship on board? Yeah, I'll get through the Merrill minute. We'll bring sponsorship. Noting we've got two people who are here for the sponsorship. I'll just finish the Merrill minute, then I'll bring that item forward. If that's
You want me to move it?
I'll finish this and make that. Right, item 9.2, the Merrill minute and report for September 2023, and the recommendations that report item 0901, which was received as information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden.
There's nothing to add.
No comments, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Mayor, halfway down page 13, I just wonder, the discussion on it with Samantha Wilcox, the 29th of August, re the MPS, was there anything critical coming out of that from Dr. Michael Holland, the Parliamentary Secretary, about the MPS? I was just wondering.
No, he basically explained what the way the MPS system works. And there was a further letter later, well, after the 4th of September it arrived, from the Health Minister, Ryan Park, and he said basically the same thing. There is a meeting that is being proposed through the Minister from the Western Area Health Service to have a meeting with Council at some time in October, and we're looking at that date and what might work for us at the moment. And that would hopefully be two relevant executives of Western Area Health Service, both of whom are doctors, to come and talk us through what some of the issues are.
I note there are some concerned citizens, so I don't know whether the people in the community, so I don't know if there'll be the opportunity for some of them to attend. It may not be appropriate. Leave that to your discretion.
Yeah. Well, that's what council's report.
Take those back, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, I'll put the motion on in favour. Passed unanimously. All right, so I'll bring forward item 1310, sponsorship requests. We'll move in a second to that, please. Councillor McKinney, Councillor McCarthy. On page 70.
That's the new one, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a new one.
just through clarification, there is a fourth request. It's an amendment to the, that's exactly the one.
All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Okay, item 13.10, sponsorship requests. The recommendations that council consider the 3 sponsorship requests independently and make subsequent resolutions to confirm monetary or in-kind support if offered. And council provide the funding through the section 356 fund should any of the projects be supported.
It's now 4.
Sorry, there is a 4th one now.
So the fourth,
There it is there.
that's the late amended report, where is the fourth? Because I've only got 3.
Back page, Andy.
The fourth has come from the Rural Adversity Mental Health Program.
Oh, it's not on there, not on this one.
Mine either.
I don't think it's been, somehow it hasn't come out, because in the summary, I've still only got 3 listed too.
I've got same as you.
So that's,
That's the text.
It's within the text, the same as the first 3 have been provided for.
not looking, which one is it?
Oh, so it's
Turn up
on
railway.
page 4
Oh, there it is, okay.
on the back.
So,
Oh, the rural adversity mental health.
Right.
there it is, got it.
So, thank you.
Okay, so I'll start with the Oberon Radio Association, noting that the representatives are here. Now, can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Hayden and Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden, just on the issue of the radio.
Yes, I'm happy to move and support the nomination for the rodeo. They do bring a lot of entertainment to town. I just want to noted that this is for sponsorship and not for a 356 grant, but the money would be allocated from the 356 funding. I am in support of this, so nothing further to add.
How much was contributed? So,
Councillor McCarthy?
Just going back to the original request of money, though, I thought it was 3,500, that was all. Am I correct or not?
Through the chair, previously they asked for 3,500 for another event.
Yeah. And council deferred that to another promotion, it's not back.
Correct.
Okay, another, all right. Now, I'm supporting the rodeo, it brings a lot of money to the town. It's bigger than the show. It's one of the biggest events outside the arena in Sydney.
This is not for the rodeo, this is for school.
For the training
it's a
school.
school.
Yeah, the training school. The training school already brings people to town. There's a training school that they run up here on a Sunday morning, I think it is. It brings a lot of people from Sydney, and so that's what's out there. These people are training to be world-class athletes, and that's what it is. And if anyone's ever been to the Rank Arena in Sydney to the event down there, it's huge and it's posted all around the world. So anyway, I'm supporting it for now.
Councillor McKibben?
Sorry, can I have some clarification? Support, but to what degree have we come up with a figure yet?
Through the chair, it's for council to consider.
Either proposer and seconder proposing a figure?
I move the motion as it stands at 15,000. That's what's listed in here. That the current event costs are estimated at 15,000.
I think that's the intent of this.
I would propose an amendment to sponsor them to the extent of 5,000. In line with, well, even that's exceeding what we sponsor other sporting associations, but I think in light of the comments made and fair and reasonable, but I may not go second.
Is there a second? No, and therefore the amendment will lapse. Anyone else wish to speak?
You can't.
This will come, sorry, this will come out of the 356 funding,
Yes.
and we have sufficient funds.
Through the chair, there's 21,495 not allocated yet. That out of the 90,000 that we allocated at the start of the financial year.
In that case, I'm more than happy to support it if we've got money there for it. We've heard from Jack on that committee, and I support Councillor McCarthy's comments as well. It does bring a lot of business and a lot of interest and exposure to the town, so yep, I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Graham?
Yeah, I'd like to support it also. I think Councillor McKibben's comments about the other sporting organisations isn't really relevant. This is a world-class event that they're trying to run, and I think we can support it.
Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm opposed to it. I think it is quite severely excessive. The reason I didn't support Mr McKibben, Councillor McKibben's amendment is I think even the 5,000 is excessive in my mind. It is a late application, and we did previously say we would only consider further applications with extenuating circumstances, and I can't see that there's any particular extenuating circumstances, so I'm opposed.
Okay. Well, let's see, Ben, I just want to say something first. No?
I would just like to ask the question, what would we get in return under the banner of sponsorship to the tune of $15,000? Does anyone know?
We would expect publicity, I would imagine.
Our logo.
I'd expect our logo on the promotional material. Correct.
Can I just say, Mr Mayor, if anyone's attended any of these events that we support, we get airtime, we get logos all the time from these events that we sponsor from the radio out there.
Yep. I reply.
Yes, I'm very pleased to see this. Just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Councillor Tucker, this isn't a 356 fund application. This is actually a request for sponsorship, but utilising 356 funding to cover that cost and allocate money from there. And considering this isn't a rodeo, this is actually a training performance academy that's going to be coming out here and teaching our young rodeo riders, and they're going to gain some really good training out of this, and then the community's going to get some wonderful promotion. I'm all for it. Thank you.
All right, I'll put the motion, it's the right reply. I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Motion is passed. There you go.
Thank you very much, really appreciate it.
All right, we'll go back to the first item in that particular list, one for sponsorship for Lincoln Briffa. I've moved and seconded those. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Trimbath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move this motion. Lincoln seeking sponsorship for his insurance and some fuel costs for the bus to follow. I would be more supportive to reduce that amount to $500 overall, so that his insurance is covered, and then the other small amount to go towards the fuel, not $650 in total, and some assistance to fill out the forms.
So is that an alternative motion?
I'm just coming to that.
Sorry. Can I move in a
If she's moved the original motion, she can modify
She's
it.
entitled to, you're entitled to.
I'm entitled to modify that,
Yes.
okay. So that, I just wanted to modify the dollar figure from $650 to $500.
I have to talk about the second as well.
Oh, that's okay, we're going to get to the sector now.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm happy to second the modification and to the dollar amount to $500.
Okay. All right, anyone else wish to speak to this? Councillor Graham?
We're really making a donation to Westmead Children's Hospital, and
Yes.
probably no one can argue with that.
No, well, yes, you're right. Councillor McKechnie?
Yeah, I agree, it's a donation to the hospital. I assume that there's a permit and number and everything in this, and the cheque will be made out appropriately to Westmead and not to an individual with.
I'm not sure who it's going to be made out to, but it'll be done with proper due diligence around it.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, pay the insurance direct.
Anyone else? I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Passed unanimously.
It would be tonight.
Sorry?
It could be tonight, we give it to me away.
All right, OTH 100th anniversary, and they're requesting $500 in sponsorship to support the event, which is celebrating that 100th anniversary in October this year. Move to second, please. Councillor Hayden and Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move that motion to support the $500 sponsorship and advertising and everything. I'm sure will be in place in kind for council.
Councillor McKibben?
Yes, I think on this occasion, I'm noting we've sponsored both previously with 5,000. I think this is a unique opportunity for the 100th anniversary, so I'm prepared to 500. Second, the $500 donation.
Anyone wish to speak to it or against it? I'll put the motion, all in favour? Against? Councillor Tucker against. Motion is passed. And the late one is the Rural Adversity Mental Health Program, a late application for council consideration to support the Rural Adversity Mental Health Program. Hoping council would be able to support 2 free training opportunities for the Oberon community to be held in October for Mental Health Month by providing coffee, juice, snack break, and supper for the night session, tea and coffee, etc.
Asking for $800.
$800.
Up to $800.
Up to $800.
Through the chair, I want to cap the sessions at 20, so there's limited chance to get to better engage with those who turn up. So the reason it's up to 800 was they're asking $20 per head. There was up to 40, so then we just added the two together to get the 800. It might be 600 if councils agree to that. So I said up to.
Mover to seconder. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to support the RAMP training. It's important. Mental health is extremely important in every community, and having these 2 training sessions, I've familiarised myself a little bit about these online with what's involved with the training, so it's actually quite imperative that members of the community and organisations and businesses start doing further training. So I'm in support of up to $800. If anyone else wants to change that, that's I'm flexible.
Councillor McKibben.
Mental health, thanks Mr. Mayor, mental health has become a major concern in our communities. And I think anything that can be done to address that, noting apart from anything else, the rates of suicide in some of our communities, which have been very high, I think is worth doing, so I'm more than happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor McKibben and Councillor McKibben. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a clarification, I'm not quite clear on what it is that these sessions will be. It says training opportunities, so is it training people who would then be providing mental health services to others?
I think it's mental first aid.
Yeah, it's a mental health first aid training course run by a professional facilitator, and those wanting to learn more or in fact come in because they are suffering.
So
It's that opportunity
it's
for the
providing mental health services directly to people who need those services?
No, people who can recognise mental health issues.
Mental
in
health
people.
first aid course.
This,
So that's what I'm asking. So these sessions would be training people to then provide services to other people?
to acknowledge if they see it, it's not then go out and you become a mental health first aid trainer. No, it's just to get an understanding of what the triggers are, what the mental health issues relate to.
Yeah, that's
To take Are You OK? To a couple of steps level.
Nice.
Yes. And do it in a
It's
community.
being run by Sonia Cox, who is a mental health nurse who, I don't know where she finds the time to do it. She is everywhere.
Where's, just a clarification, where's it gonna be held at?
Community centre, I believe.
Community centre,
Yeah.
okay. And, can we get a, report back on how many people attend each session, please?
That need to be an amendment or not?
No.
Or a second point, or just note it?
Through the chair, RAMP are very good at providing that information back to council in that avenue, but if you give this up to, we'll be asking for that anyway, so.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? I'll put the motion in favour. Motion is passed. Okay, we now go back to notice motion 10.1. Councillor McCarthy, the council to seal either side of the new Bailey's Lane Bridge to 50 metres on either side.
Sorry.
Move in second, please. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor McKechnie. Councillor McCarthy.
It's pretty straightforward, Mr Mayor. The bridge doesn't sit in the flow of what the traffic used to be, apparently for reasons of the fisheries. But you can see that as you come down the hill and you start to break, you're not lined up with it. So I think we've got to seal. I put in 50 metres for this, but I think it might have to be a bit more really. But and as you come out the other side, it's not the best either, because we service now with livestock, especially with semi-trailers, you don't get the opportunity. So I think we've got to seal at least 50 metres, maybe a little bit more on. So just as a safety thing, safety is the main reason.
Okay, is there an identified hazard? Is there an identified hazard?
Well, it's a bridge that doesn't go straight across the road now, that's the problem. The other one used to, within reason.
Okay, Councillor McKechnie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support the motion. It is a safety, there are safety issues there, I think, depending on certain weather conditions and also on the amount of heavy livestock carting traffic that goes across there. If we get black ice or we get a large run of frost in a wet time, coming down into it from this side where the alignment is just not quite right, I don't know, I'm not a civil engineer, but it would present a problem to vehicles in the night and in poor visibility. It's a foggy area as well, so I think there are hazards there. They may not be there all the time, but there are certainly some climatic conditions and some traffic conditions where there would be hazards. So I fully support the motion.
Councillor Trimbath.
Yes, I'd like to speak against this motion. Councillor McCarthy did not attend the annual roads tour, and this would bring the ideal opportunity to highlight and discuss the concerns of councillors. and the technical staff. It has come as a notice of motion with no other detail other than you have safety concerns. You've raised safety concerns for other roads, Bogga Bogga, and I would question this without having any risk assessment, traffic data, traffic for New South Wales data on near misses, number of homes, etc. Bogga Bogga is a prime example of what we must do for safety, and to date this has cost us $25,605, and it doesn't include $5,000 of legal fees still to come, and then there is a road reconstruction which is not funded and will require further resolution of council. This road has 13 homes probably on it. It's not a pressing, through road. Bailey's Lane has already had an additional 26k spent as you determined we needed safety barriers that are not finished, and now you're proposing, well, I thought a seal of 6 to 7 metres, which is 7 to 8k, which that's just blown out again, and it's 13 homes, and I'd say they're higher priority roads. As was explained on the roads tour to me regarding the new work on Bailey's Lane, the northern side road gradient, the top side of the bridge, has reduced the length of the approach and the steepness of the hill. I'd like to ask the technical director, do we have any correspondence or reports from residents regarding safety since this work was carried out?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. No, there are no reports of incidents or accidents or concerns raised by residents at this point.
Okay. So I believe there really needs to be more rigour around these types of requests. We need to do risk assessments or traffic data, resident feedback, as an opinion on safety is not good enough. I would ask that the other councillors consider this notice of motion very carefully on behalf of our ratepayers. We do not have a bottomless pit of money. And the councillors suggesting this do not have any expertise in assessing safety.
Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, sir. I was actually going to ask through you, the Technical Services Director, to give us an opinion with his expertise on the approaches to both sides of this bridge, and whether the sealing would improve safety, drainage, and all the other aspects.
Yeah, through the Mayor. Look, certainly.
And whether it's value for money, I suppose, is the question.
Whilst the additional length of sealing wouldn't link with the existing sealing on the Duckman Loy Road end, look, I think the point's been made in terms of the steepness of the gradient was steeper going down into the previous causeway on the northern side, but certainly I can't sort of indicate that it had value add to the actual bitumen sealing either side of the actual structure at this point.
Is there likely to be any additional erosion as a result of not sealing to the gravel road, for instance?
Through the Mayor, no more, no less than previously.
So we don't, if we were classifying, we have classified, if I could, Mr. Mayor, sorry, when we did our, what do we call them, our disaffected roads or whatever they were, this wouldn't have been on that list then or now as an area that was going to or could potentially cost us a lot of money by not sealing it.
Through the Mayor, no, it wasn't on the actual, that list, no.
Good.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also have a couple of questions. The road pavement on the approaches to this bridge, have they been built to a standard that you could happily just go along and put a seal on that existing pavement? Or if the approaches are just to a normal gravel road standard, are we going to have to go and box it out and put a deeper pavement before sealing? Is it just the cost of the seal, or are we up for pavement and seal?
Through the Mayor, look, certainly you could do probably with more pavement. Look, it's telling it's fresh, of course, it will subside a little bit. It's probably at a point that it could be bitumen sealed without too much expense.
So basically, the cost would be 100 metres of seal with very little extra for pavement works.
Look, I could probably estimate within probably the $10,000.
So the budget that was provided for Bailey's Lane do we know if there's any available out of that budget, or if that's all spent, will it have to come from section 711 as suggested in the reasons in the report?
Through the Mayor, so if the funding if council was to go with that, the funding would have to come from 711.
All right, and would the motion need, I think there's a requirement for a motion to actually specify funding sources. It's mentioned further down the page, but if this is passed as is, the resolution won't say where the money's coming from. And I think it's supposed to.
Through the chair, if council were to support this, we will put a funding source in the resolution table, yes.
All right, so should we be doing that now?
Through the chair, a funding source has been provided within the report. We would simply, should this be endorsed, we would just formulate that and fund it from 711 Road's contribution plan.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, and one more, just to make a point in passing. It is generally good practice and common practice to seal approaches to bridges. It reduces gravel being thrown onto the bridge deck and accumulating there, and it also reduces the likelihood of developing a bad step at the end of the bridge, and the pavement gets worn away and you end up with a severe bump. So it is good practice generally.
Was that included in the original costing for the bridge?
So, no.
No, okay.
No.
So then, therefore, it's not common practice. If it wasn't included in the construction of the new bridge.
It used to be, Mr Mayor, if I may say that, with our previous engineer that we had.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I don't support this motion. It's not a significant road. It has very little traffic, and I can't see the sense currently sealing something that's not used that frequently. Thank you.
How much money is in 711?
It's just over 500. 646 in urban roads. Sorry, 646 in rural roads.
So that's 646,000?
646,000 in rural roads.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, that's really good.
You can have one more go, that's it.
Thank you. I suppose the first is a question. If you were to do the approaches to this bridge, noting that one side of it there's a steep incline, and I won't go for directions because I can't think of which direction it is, but when you leave it and go up, would 50 metres basically end up halfway up that incline, and you'd have to go right to the top? That's a question for Technical Services Director if you were to do this.
Through the Mayor, certainly the benefit would be to take the bitumen right to the apex of the hill at the top. Yes.
So that would be probably 100 metres on it?
Look, I don't have that figure, unfortunately, but yeah, look, it could be in the order of 100 metres.
And second issue is we have a priority road matrix, and as I understand it, any funds we take out of 711, am I correct, hinge on us doing or meeting our priority road matrix requirements, is that correct?
No, through the chair, no, that's not exactly correct. The 711 fund is your developer contributions fund that you've generated over a period of time. Those funds are to be used across all the road network, so it fits within that parameter that you could use for that type of thing. It doesn't fit within our priority road matrix. As councillors will be aware, the 1 to 2 kilometres of seal has been replaced by a reseal program for this financial year. If council was to resolve to do any works, that would just sit above and beyond what you would otherwise agree to as part of your operational plan.
But if we had funds in the 711, we could allocate that to priority roadway matrix if we saw fit.
If council was of an opinion that they wanted to spend all that money on priority roads, then they're quite within their Rob to do so.
Okay.
Right, a reply?
Right, a reply.
Okay, thank you. I put this forward because at the moment the pavement is new. As the pavement gets older, it gets corrugated, and with ABS brakes, as you approach the bridge, you get that shudder. And that's like I said a while ago. Our previous engineer, when we done something like this, a culvert or a crossing, we always used to do it as a part of the job. In this case, it wasn't part of the job, and the council allocated the money to this bridge on this low priority road, apparently, according to some councils. But all I'm saying is, there's a safety idea. There's the seal 50 metres either side of it. As the pavement gets older, you get the shudder and you lose traction with the ABS brakes. Now, as for the Froggabolla Road that Council Trent Barth said, we spent $26,000 on straightening that corner, and we got the legal fees. But if you go a little bit further between the O'Connell Road and the crest of the hill, we had the same problem out there. As you're going down the hill, that's right, you get that shudder.
No, you keep your voice down a bit, please.
Sorry,
It's getting aggressive.
Okay, you get that shudder, and then one afternoon, we actually come across a ute sideways there, because as the pavement had got older and rigid and rutted, it actually turned the vehicle around. And I feel that this 50 metres on either side of the bridge would be better spent as a safety matter, and that's why I submitted the thing. And I didn't go out on the tour, because I live in the community and I travel a lot of the area that the council's tour went in my normal day-to-day running of my lifestyle. So there was no need for me to go down there and have a look. I knew the bridge was there, it was a great job done, and that's where I come up with 50 metres either side. It's a safety issue, and I don't want to see us coming back later on that we've got ruts on either side of the road and someone's hit the new Armco fence. Thank you.
All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion is defeated. The next item 10.2 was withdrawn.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm back now. Good holiday. Thought you might have forgotten me.
All right, item 11.1. This is Councillor and Delegate Reports, the Oberon Business and Tourist Association meeting of the 9th of August 2023. And the recommendation is that Council receive and note the Delegates' report for the Oberon Business and Tourist Association meeting held on the 9th of August. Councillor Hayden, Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the report. I think the report speaks for itself, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A good report, and I'm pleased to see Opta has moved to commit 5,000 and to our brochure, and that's referenced elsewhere as well in the notes. Interesting, the comments by the Mayfield hosts about people being directed to Mayfield via the bypass and necessities for signage. That was interesting. I think all of us have experienced Google sort of directing us in interesting ways. I know when they go to my place, it ends up going down Sewells Creek Road and through Rockley and all around the place. So it's not unusual. But yes, I think good point made in that area, and as a council working with Opta, we need to look at what we can do to address that, because we do need our tourists going down our main street. So yeah, good report. More than happy to second it.
Councillor Hayden, Councillor from both you were going to say something? No? Okay, anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's passed. Item 11.2, Upper Macquarie County Council meeting of 11th of August 2023, and the recommendations that Council receive and note the Upper Macquarie County Council Delegates report. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden, Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think the report speaks for itself, and we are now trading as the, it's actually, I've got it wrong, it's the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, CTWA. Did I put CWTA? That's my problem, and thank you. As an attachment, you'll note that there is a list of roads there. I'd ask any people who see any roads missing to please tell me, because one other council has indicated that there are a couple of roads missing. So we try to get the best information available at the time, but if there are roads missing, please, probably the first instance inform me, so that we can put them on the 3-year rotation. You'll note I dealt a little bit with the availability issue with fluoropropionate and what's happening there if you're asked by any of our constituents, because often they think councils know everything about Upper Macquarie or Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, so you can be informed now and at least know what's happening in that area. As I said again, if you find any issues with the roads, please tell me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to second the report. I was going to ask Councillor McKibben through the Mayor, if I may, regarding the weeds from forestry. Has there been anything from Central Tablelands Weed mentioning to Forest about the amount of those radiata pines that are just popping up everywhere along roadsides? Who's going to have the responsibility of that process? And do you think that there could be a possibility of issuing them an infringement notice for their lack of care?
Unfortunately, sorry, Mr Mayor. Should I oblige? Yes, sorry. Radiata at this stage is not in the regional weeds plan as a priority weed. However, we did raise, I think as a councillor I raised it with Forestry Corporation on Burriga Road and the pine coming onto the road, but in some instances it's not Forestry Corporation, it's also private forestry, and it is an issue. I absolutely agree with you. It is becoming an issue because the pine trees are seeding and becoming part of the road verge. It's not within the ambit of CTWA. However, I agree that it's an issue we need to raise, and I can certainly raise it with Jason Mulkenton, or as a council we may wish to raise it as well. As I said, it doesn't fall within a priority weed. That's our problem. We can't really go for do anything, but I think as a council we can certainly raise it. And I have raised it, and the Technical Services Director will know I've raised it in the Burriga Road previously. It's also finding where these things, is it come from private, or has it come from forestry? Yeah, but that, yeah, I absolutely agree, it's becoming a problem. Yeah.
Anyone else? Councillor Kim, you might just provide me with a bit of information. The end of year weed action plan, the final paragraph registers some alarm about the potential cuts in the state budget.
And I have been searching the budget, and I haven't had a chance today to search the detailed budget papers. However, the last comment I heard was that the Minister for Agriculture fully appreciated the issues with weeds and felt that councils dealt with it very well. So I'm hoping that means that the WAP funding is preserved. That was at the end of last week, but I have not had a chance to inspect the budget paper today in detail. I think we'll obviously be doing that. As I said, we deferred a future of the organisation workshop until after the budget.
Thank you for that information.
I don't know if you've heard anything, Mr Mayor or General Manager. I was listening to the radio, but I didn't have time to type, you know.
No. All right.
Thank you for the question.
Anyone else? Put the motion, all in favour? Motion is passed. 11.3, Black Springs Community Association meeting of the 14th of August 2023. Recommendations of council receive and note the Black Springs Community Association Delegates Report. Councillor Hayden moving, seconding. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm going to move the recommendation for this report. It's only a brief report this time. I thought I'd just limit the reading for everyone.
I'm more than happy to second it, Mr Mayor, and I don't know if Councillor Hayden or anyone's had any update on the small cell tower discussion?
Yes, it's stalled.
I understood it was stalled.
Nothing
I know that
further.
Burriga has been successful in negotiating theirs, and I've indicated some parameters, yes.
And I appreciate your email in regards to that too, so some contacts through there would be wonderful.
I do know they used, the lawyer they used was Jane Pike of Macintosh McPhillip.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else?
So I have sent an email to General Manager and to Councillor Hayden with that. Sorry, I should have copied you, sorry, no, no.
I'll get it.
Yeah, I can send it off, yeah.
Anyone else? Comments?
Yeah, just an update on the heritage tour. Is that just around Black Springs or?
Yes, they'll, through Mr Mayor, they'll just be meeting at the hall and then doing a self-drive. There'll be two people that will be taking them around the cemeteries, and it's just a self-drive type tour with a couple of guides.
At $40 a head.
That includes morning tea and a barbecue lunch.
Okay, thank
And
you.
there's also the display that's on at the hall as well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's passed. 11.4, the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board meeting on 23rd and 24th of August. The recommendations of council note the report of the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board meeting held on the 23rd of August and the roundtable discussions with state ministers and their representatives held on the 24th of August 2023.
I'm more than happy to second it. I think it's appropriate if you push.
Yeah, I'll move it, but you can second it. Yeah, that's fine. All right. There's a rather interesting board meeting to start with. And just as a highlight of some of the inertia in the New South Wales bureaucracy at the moment, you know that we were searching for the answer to the approval for the internal loan, which was some 6 months in the making. I handed a letter to the Deputy Secretary of Office of Local Government, who happened to be at the board meeting, kindly drafted by the General Manager. And he, within 5 minutes, had solved the problem. And we got the loan approved shortly afterwards. So the bureaucracy can work very quickly when they see people up close and personal. The rest of the board meeting was substantially pro forma, a number of reports. I will talk a little bit about the transition to renewable energy, because as most of you know, I've picked up a portfolio mantle of that for the Central West, and we are changing the shape of what the advocacy is about. At the moment, sorry, up until a little while ago, it was all about projects, and you looked at the documents and it was this project and that project and so other project up here and those sort of things. We are moving that to quite a different stance, and the stance is how do we help communities manage their way through this. And so I spoke to that fairly strongly, and I think it's the correct way of doing business. We're not in the game to help projects in a broad sense. Certainly we generally do something about it, but what we are in the game of is looking after our community, and the best way of doing that is, in this instance, from the Central West Joint Organisation, is to influence government in the way they're doing things. We've already contacted the planning minister, pointing out all the shortcomings in the state significant development process, which is long and unwieldy, and leaves everyone in the community out on a limb. There is very little time for community consultation, or very little approval of community's consultation, and that which normally happens is pretty ordinary. as some of the councils have seen with Paling Yards and also down at ATCO. We also had some other chats about the normal things affecting us like ESL, and that's a fairly large advocacy bit at the moment to try and move the state government away from that particular stance, and also the red fleet, although that's going to keep going. Thursday morning, and Thursday was spent in Parliament House, where we had a variety of ministers come along and talk to us. The planning minister was an interesting one, who talks very much about what they're trying to do, and when questioned by various mayors, made the point that he's trying to change the system. I offered to help for some reason, to do with state significant developments. We had the new Minister for Local Government there, who was a highly experienced mayor of Botany Council back in the late 80s and early 90s. And he gave us a very strong lecture on his views about local government finances and having qualified audits and how he sees that it should work. Should that come to pass, it'll be quite an interesting time, I assure you. And the rest of it is there for you to read. That's just the other one. Constitutional arrangements for local water utilities. At the moment, there is a move to sell water utilities, to provide constitutional protection for Sydney Water and Hunter Water, which leaves all the other water supply organisations open to privatisation. And we're trying to get all water companies, all water authorities in the state put under that constitutional protection. So they don't want to see our stuff go down that. All right, anyway, Councillor Hayden. Sorry, Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's a very good summary, and in a number of areas, you're a very good, excellent spokesman on all issues. I think just to note that the Honourable Stephen Lawrence MLC has been designated as our go-to person, I believe, from the government's point of view. He was an ex-mayor of Dubbo. I had, as well as the meeting, I spoke to him privately. He seems to be well aware of a lot of issues that are affecting regional areas. So I think he'll be a good adjunct to us. I think he's very supportive of the regions. So I'm very happy that he's our go-to person. I think we all are. As the Mayor said, the Minister for Local Government, as is indicated on page 28, believes there's too much regulation inhibiting councillors, and I'm not, as we've discussed before, sure what he's going to do with the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee recommendations of the previous government. That's still up in the air. But he was fairly strident in relation to his views on the red fleet and remaining within councillor control on our balance sheet, basically. And again, all ministers, and particularly the Minister for Finance, who was again quite impressive, Courtney Housas, that's how you pronounce it, Housas, indicated things were very tight. So I think we all need to go home tonight and have a look at what the budget actually said, the detail of the budget. Yes, so I'm more than very happy to second this motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Hope.
Yeah, just referring back to the water issue and the possible privatisation or selling off of those assets outside of the Sydney area. What were the discussions regarding Oberon Dam, if any? There was no discussion because it does feed up the mountains and that as well, doesn't it? Has there been conversations with those mayors at all?
No.
Not yet.
Well, they may have had conversations with mayors up in the mountains and Western Sydney, but I have no visibility of that.
Yeah.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A couple of questions for you, if I may. Page 26, above the photo, second dot point, in relation to AREX, and it says concern for the mooted regulation conflicting with local democracy. Just wonder if you could, what is the mooted regulation? Is that to do with councillors not being on AREX?
Two issues. One is councils not being on AREX, and the other one is that the audit executive that we're supposed to employ will sit within council but have no reporting processes to council or any oversight from council. And that person is an expensive individual, and we'd have to pay for it. Now, there's a long way to go yet.
And I think, if I could, Mr Mayor, the other issue was, is the expense of this person who is paid by the general manager but doesn't report to the general manager really a warranted expense across all councils, and in particular the Central Tablelands Water Authority and the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, i.e. county councils with only 7 or 8 employees? Is this really warranted? Because the costs of the AREC committees are just not only for small councils like Oberon, but for the county councils, it's just huge.
So we'll be priced out of business.
That's right.
Because of AREX.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we actually had to explain this to the local government minister. I think he took it away to investigate. I'm not sure. I think we've probably got to keep the pressure on.
You took it away, but with the...
This is a really important point. Because it'll be someone who is, in terms of salary, probably around about the general manager, and will be sitting basically outside of our organisation, but working within it. It's very, very. It doesn't fit in any management system I've ever seen, except perhaps the Soviet Army.
So you've seen the Soviet Army,
I've seen parts of it.
My second question is on page 28, below the photo, in the first 3 dot points, and it talks about your discussions with the minister, and it talks about too much regulation inhibiting councillors from doing their jobs effectively and efficiently. And I wondered if you might just expand on that. That might have been what you were referring to a moment ago, but
yeah,
can you give any more details of or what you think he's going to do?
I'm frankly not sure. It was a long, quite winding dissertation. He's thought very deeply about things.
So do you know what regulations he was referring to?
Not really.
Okay.
Well, partly it was in relation to a comment on AREC.
Okay.
He sort of gave the impression he didn't know why AREC was necessary to some degree, I thought was the issue, and then he talked about his days at botany and said, well, council should have more responsibility over their own affairs, and we don't want to impose undue financial or other regulatory requirements on them. That was basically the gist of it, I think. What he was.
That's the words he used, yeah.
Yes, I think so. I can't. Yeah.
Look,
so
this was the initial engagement that we've had with this individual, apart from the infamous speech in Parliament that he's made speech, not made speech, but he's made speech as a minister, and it's just going to take time to figure out what are his hard spots and what are his soft spots, and what will he tolerate and what won't he tolerate.
But I'd say a very intelligent individual, very intelligent person, but we're just not quite sure where he's going from.
So what was it?
It's where he lambasted the entire local government, every local government area for the number of qualified audits. Virtually all the qualified audits were about the Red Fleet. There were very few that had qualified audits for other reasons. And so, and it kind of went on like that.
Right, thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? We'll see him again in November.
Yes, 23rd, I think, yeah.
All right, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Passed. 11.5, Oberon Arts Council meeting, recommendations council receive and note the Oberon Arts Council delegates report. Councillor Graham. Councillor Tucker. Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'd like to follow the recommendation and receive this report. What I've got to add is where there were in the minutes talking about the drumming workshop, there's now a date for it on the 22nd of October in the community centre, and of course you're all invited. Wow. And there will probably be a follow-up one to that as well.
Don't try to use the library on that day.
But to Sunday. Sunday's not open.
Councillor Tucker.
Nothing to add, Mr Mayor, thank you.
I was invited to go drumming by the Arts Council President, and she was very insistent, but it was a wonderful thing to do, and it fills you with joy and wonder, but I might just go along.
It's a mental health thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Beating the hell out of it is something like All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, so I'll put the motion on in favour. All right, thank you. Motion is passed. Committee reports, the Heritage Committee. Item 12.1, recommendations council receive and note the minutes of the Heritage Committee meeting held on the 28th of August 2023. Move in the second, please. Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McCarthy.
It's just a pretty straightforward report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
I'm happy to second. No, nothing further to add. I do recall there's been some conversation in the community. People are trying to look for some photographs of the old bakery from the early days, so it'll be interesting to have a look at those. And that's about it.
Okay, anyone else?
Just a quick one, if I could, Mr Mayor, may come up under planning, I'm not sure. Do we have a date for when the hotel's actually going to open? Because I've been asked by a number of people.
Councillor Trimbar's going to inform you of that.
Yes, I have the direct line.
Oh, good.
No, the plan is that they would like to open on the 30th, but there's one little piece of paper that's still holding them up, and there's been a change the way that liquor and gaming normally you have a publican who has the licence, but they've changed it, so now it's an in-between and then it goes to a general manager. So they're just waiting for that one little bit of paper.
Okay, so 30th of this month.
Yeah, that's the plan. I can't really confirm it until they get that. They've got a dry run, they've got some training happening this weekend. Next weekend they've got a little event happening, which is more in the camping ground. And again, that'll give them a bit more, the staff, a bit more activity and learning or process.
And do we get the drainage issue resolved outside between Transport for New South Wales and the Cornwall pub, or shouldn't I ask the question if no one wants to answer?
Through the chair, we forwarded the concerns on to Transport for New South Wales. I believe Chris has done that, so
Waiting for a response.
given the action and go forth. Yeah.
Right.
It's on a council road, so it's with Transport to determine.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just a correction on the page 5 and 5. That working party of Bob, Lauren, Sandra and Ewan, and Clyde's not in it, so you can scrub him out, please.
Okay, Clyde wasn't in it. All right.
Not to mean monthly, yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Motion, all in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, reports for decision. We'll go item 13.1, delegates to council committees. And there are recommendations in 7 parts. I'm going to take these individually.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, could 1 and 2 go together? I'm happy for them each to go individually.
We'll do it individually, just so there's no confusion there. And the recommendation 1 is that council confirm its appointments and chair of the section 356 committees and make appointments to other council committees and community committees and working parties for a period of 1 year to the end of the current term of council, with the exception of the additional recommendations. Now, taking item 1, that is all the 355, council committees, community and council working parties. So that's those ones there, correct?
Correct.
On page 34 and the top of 35. Is there any mover?
I'm moving it as per the page 34 and top of 35.
All right, councillor McKibben, seconder. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben.
No, look, I think the committees have been working fine, and community committees and working parties, so unless anyone wishes some changes, I think they should be as they are for the further year.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I agree and concur with Councillor McKibben.
Is there any dissent to that particular view?
Yeah, anyway,
Come on, say it.
let's go with the flow. Hey,
Come on, no, say it.
No, there's a, further later on in your report, you've got the Heritage Committee being asked to be cut back to 5. And I don't think it cost anything for the council.
When we get to that, Councillor McCarthy,
But that's 3, we're not on that yet.
I realise that, but it might affect someone taking up a position in one of the others.
So basically, we're going for the status quo for those particular committees on page 34 and the top of 35.
Yep.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any dissent? I'll put the motion. Motion is passed. All right. Council reconfirm the community delegates 355 committees apart from the Heritage Committee.
That's kind of what we just did.
Kind of what we just did.
I think we did that.
Yeah. All right.
I'll put it again as if you want that, and the who was the second?
Second, Helen.
Right.
Through the chair, this is the community members, not the council.
Oh, the community members.
They are two different things.
Yep. So the community members are, there's not too many on there.
Grand charge, grand.
It's all community delegates that you currently have.
Yeah. It's fine, I'm happy with that. All in favour? All right, item 3. The recommendation is that the Heritage Committee members should be capped at a maximum of 5 committee members, and interest from the existing representation representatives be sought. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Trembath, Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with this. It's not stating that members can't attend. It's just the 5 committee persons other than the councillors that are delegated to it. So I don't see the issue as that. It's not preventing anyone attending the meetings or bringing anything to the meeting. It just means that it's your voting capacity. So I have no issue with that.
And I support that as well. I have no issue with that. Changing it gets a little bit out of hand sometimes with the numbers of people, so it'd be nice to have it sort of tightened up a little.
Anyone else wish to speak to this? Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I don't agree with it. It doesn't cost the council anything to have more representatives on it. And if you're taken off that committee, you feel as if you're ripped off. One of the ladies that now attends the thing from representing Oberon has a lot of history and knows the place a lot more than what I ever thought was about the place. And her comment was one of the things is too much representing of a common, but to do that, you've got to eliminate somebody. And these people turn up with their own fruition, they don't charge us anything. We have the debate, we don't have long, we're pretty flexible. I think it should be just still left open as it is. So I think it should stay as it is. And if you take that you have a representative from Barriga, which was the original setup, a representative from Black Springs, you had a representative from the railway, you've only got 2 people left. So, it doesn't fathom out to be capped at 5. The original setup was Peter Dove come from Black Springs when he lived there. So these people, and then I think originally when you had the 2 McMahons, they put something forward that only one McMahon could be represented. But we sort of don't have that with the Loudons or one of the other people to turn up the two people. We're pretty flexible, and the meeting's pretty flexible, and we come up with a result. I don't think we have any adverse voting effects, and there's very few recommendations we really bring back to council. It's just mainly reporting. So I think it should stay as it is. And the other thing is, I think when we have someone as a fill-in, that they need, anyway.
Mr. Chairman, as not being on this committee, as a number of us are, I think it's very hard for us to vote on this. I think it's, I on this particular matter would like the Heritage Committee to go away and come back with an agreed position, because I'm not sure that we as councillors should be making this decision. The Heritage Committee should come, the representatives of this council on that committee should, I would have thought, come back with a unified position. I was hoping. So it's very difficult for us to make the decision. We rely on our councillors who are on these committees to come, to provide us with advice on these things. It's difficult for us. I don't know how other councillors not on the committee feel.
What are the terms of reference to the Heritage Committee? And it's a council committee, it's not an external committee, it's an internal committee. It's not actually stating that people can't attend to the meeting. As you read this, it states 5 community members to sit on the committee, which is the voting constituents. But other interest from existing representatives can be sought. So other people can come, sit in, listen, take notes, ask a question.
I'd like to take that thought you had a bit further, and with the approval of Move in a second, I'd like to say that we should change our recommendation that the Heritage Committee comes back with a proposal of how to integrate both representatives and interested community members.
Yeah, I don't feel it's in our interest to disenfranchise members of the communities on this committee, but on the other hand, I realise that too many members, voting members of committees can become a bit unwieldy, but I really, I don't want to make people, or I don't think people should be disenfranchised, so I think it's a matter for the Heritage Committee. I'd love them to come back with a unified position. If that's not possible, then council will have to make a decision. Please, Heritage Committee, try and come up with
the gentleman has just said that probably the neatest way of doing this is to review the Heritage Committee should review the terms of reference of the committee. That will tell you who representatives should be and the numbers.
All right, well, I will put an amendment that the Heritage Committee review its terms of reference in relation to voting members and representatives and come back to council with a unified recommendation.
All right, that's proposal.
That's an amendment.
Amendment. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Graham. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? All in favour except Councillor McCarthy. That means the amendment is been passed and comes the motion. All those in favour?
To be honest, Mayor, before you finish voting, I'd like to vote accrued against. But where does that sit with someone like Philip Gamble-Smith that's advises the council Heritage Committee, and she's not actually a ratepayer in Oberon, is she? Her residence is the other side, but she. So we eliminate her now?
It's up to you. That's why we're sending it back to you to come back with a position.
Come back to the terms of reference.
Okay.
All right, so put the motion. All those in favour? It's passed with Councillor McCarthy voting against. Right, item 4. Establish a performance review panel consistent with the Office of Local Government Guidelines under section 23A of the Local Government Act. The performance review panel to include the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, a council nominated by Council and a council nominated by the General Manager, together with an external facilitator. I've moved and seconded. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move this recommendation. I'm not sure if other councillors are aware or have read the Act. This is well within Office Local Government Guidelines, and I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Trembath.
I'm happy to second it on the same basis, and I also note that Upper Macquarie Council followed that format themselves when they just had a review of their general manager. So it seems to be the norm to do it this way. It's in the Act, so I think that's the way it should go.
Any other speakers? Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm opposed to it. I don't think it is in the Act. I think it's in the guidelines for review of general managers, and it is not a mandatory requirement to have that set up. It says should, but we are well within our rights to have all councillors on the panel, as we have done for the last couple of years. And so I would foreshadow that if this vote is lost, I would be moving that councillors remain on the panel.
Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a consistent theme in this council that councillors have wanted the performance review panel to consist of all councillors, and this was during the previous term and to date on this council. So on this matter, I think that probably those councillors in the chamber should speak on their views as to whether they do believe they wish to be on the performance review committee or not, so that we can hear council's views, if I could ask.
I'll go around. I'll go to Councillor McCarthy next. Councillor McCarthy.
I understand when council issued a contract with the general manager, the performance review committee was the whole of council, not only with the current manager, it was with the previous manager, and that's the way we've always run. And yeah, so it must be right that you can do it that way, because we've been doing it for quite a long time. And I thought the facilitator had to be a person that was agreed to by the council as well. Must be wrong. I must be able to read.
Can we refer to your contract?
So underneath my contract, it says that council should implement the provisions under 23A. It's a provision within my contract. Whilst council has resolved to do 9 councillors for each term, if you go back, the general manager's recommendation was always to have a panel in place. It's a consistent approach to what most councils undertake at this point in time. And as it sits within my contract, that's why I keep on bringing it up in regards to the panel which is proposed to be formed.
And Mr. Mayor, it's only a performance review, not a second review or something like that. It's just to highlight the performances, that's all.
Councillor Trembath? You said you were pleased, I guess.
Yeah, I have. I support it. Yeah.
Councillor McKibben, you wish to say any more?
I'm waiting to see what other councillors think.
Councillor McKibben?
Because I'm, yeah, sorry.
I think that it should be the whole of council do the review. I've voted that way previously. I don't see any reason, certainly anything that's changed that would sway my view on it. I think it's important in as far as the ratepayers expect the elected councillors to have some direct input into that performance review. And I think to keep faith with the people who voted for us, we should stay with the status quo.
Councillor Hayden, you're second.
I agree with the recommendation. I don't agree with having whole of council. I believe that sometimes whole of council can be a little bit blindsided by thought processes that aren't being put on paper correctly and using emotions that they may have and not notarise their things according to work and instead of removing the emotion. So I believe that as the recommendation is put would be a much better way to go. And reading through the Office of Local Government and how they request that councils follow these guidelines for a fairer outcome. So that's my response on that.
Councillor Graham?
I support the recommendation. I don't think having the whole of council on the panel is a very effective way of doing a review. I found it very unwieldy last year, and I don't think that's the best way of doing it.
Okay. My view is that councils will, under the proposed recommendation, is that councils will still have the ability to input to the determination, and that's by the 2 council delegates. So if you've got a point you need to make, you can pass that point on to them. And if you're a council delegate, that's what you need to take on board. Committees, performance evaluation committees or appraisal committees need to be relatively tight to be effective. They get lost in all sorts of strange directions when you have 9 people make points. So my view is that I support the recommendation as it exists. Now, anyone else wishes to add to that? No?
It's my turn. I see 2 sides to this, because as Councillor McKechnie said, that we as councillors should be intimately involved in performance reviewing basically the general manager, which is the performance of the council from our point of view. The general manager answers to council, answers through the mayor of the council. So it is important for all councillors to have appropriate input into the performance review and to ensure that they are, any issues are properly addressed. On the other hand, I understand the issue that it can become quite unwieldy when you've got 9 councillors doing a performance review, and that's why one of the reasons I asked to see what the feeling of councillors was, and obviously there's at least 3 councillors who still feel very strongly about having a performance review committee of the whole of council. So I am betwixt and between on this one, Mr. Mayor, sorry to say, because I'm not, and I have to make a decision. Because I can see both sides of the argument, and I don't want to, it's just like the comment I just made, I mean, I don't want to disenfranchise councillors who are representing sections of the community to be disenfranchised from doing a performance review of the general manager when they feel that's highly important to their job as being accountable to the community, which is obviously in the code of conduct as well. And so I suppose because there are at least three people, I will say that I'd vote against the resolution. Should the mayor decide to use the casting vote, I'll respect that.
All right. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? It's 4 all. I'll casting vote and I'll vote for the recommendation. Recommendation number 4 is passed. Do you wish to nominate the councillor for? We'll do that later. All right, item 5. Council endorses the proposed alternative facility management options in the administration of independent living units to reduce the associated psychosocial risks to staff. Move in a seconder, please. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Graham. Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the recommendation. I just wanted some further clarification on the risks as there's
Do you know that what's prompted this?
not in full.
It's in the comments.
You need to read the.
I did read that, but it doesn't.
It was a very unfortunate incident and it caused significant distress for the person involved when they were asked to do a welfare check, which is normally a police activity, but somehow it ended up on our lap.
It still doesn't clarify, that's all. It's not a full story, I don't.
Well,
get the background.
I don't think the full
And
story
we can't
can't be
discuss
put out
that
there
here,
for
so.
confidentiality and privacy
Yeah.
reasons.
Through the chair, the purpose of this is to look at putting a layer between the residents and council in terms of
Yeah,
how
I'm
we
happy
go
for
through the
that, I'm
process.
happy for that, but I don't understand what happened behind it. That was all.
Alright. Councillor Tucker.
Oh, sorry, second.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Graham.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
my mistake.
No, we shouldn't be putting any staff into that sort of situation. There's no part of anybody's job that they need to do it, so I would support putting in that extra layer.
However we do that. Okay, anyone else wish to speak this? Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What I was unclear about is that it says that we endorse the proposed alternative facility management options, but I can't work out what those options are. I don't understand what's being proposed to fix up this
Real
problem.
estate, wasn't it? Real estate agent.
Well, real estate agent is in between.
So does it say that in there somewhere?
It's through the chair, it's a real estate or a facility management style
Oh,
operation.
okay. All right, I missed that bit.
What's not specified, Mr Mayor, if I could, is the cost and where the money comes from. So, are we going to be paying real estate agent 5% of received rents a year, or what, how's it gonna work, do we know?
7%.
Okay, so it's
Through the chair, it'll be an agreement that you make along the way. There's been no advances made towards any particular.
So it have to be absorbed, the costs have to be absorbed by the residents. The rents would have to go.
are we putting the rent up, or?
Through the chair, we're not going, haven't indicated that at this point in time. I think a report back would need to be required. But it certainly would come out of the resident fee,
So,
either in its current form or a new form. That'll be up to council.
so could I suggest, Mr Mayor, an amendment to say, council endorses in principle the proposed alternative facility management options, et cetera, with the general manager to provide indicative costing, and where the funds are going to be sourced.
Could I suggest provide a variety of options?
Yeah, right, sorry, that's right, well,
Because at the moment, I think we're looking very narrowly.
yeah, but I think we should probably, in principle, but let's get the costings there. That's why I'm just saying in principle, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I've got a second.
Can I just have the motion?
Sorry.
That's the amendment. Seconder for the amendment.
Sorry,
You bring it up,
I'm not clear what the
please,
amendment is.
No, I don't want to. A variety of options.
But it's basically 5, but in, endorse, after endorse, put in principle. LE. The proposal term, and the general manager to provide costing for a variety of options out of the end of it. I think it's what we talked about.
A variety of options and indicative costing.
A variety of options, including indicative costings.
To fund the options.
I'll second it.
Can I speak against it?
We haven't got to that yet.
Ready.
It's just to endorse, can we put in principle? Proposed? Is that how you like it, councillor? Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I think the words to fund the options are probably superfluous, but I'm happy for at the end, but that's fine.
Through the chair, the only reason I included that was because you're going to have a variety of options, so you should have a variety of costs associated with it.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think that is an improvement. At the moment, the motion says that we endorse options, but there's nothing to say how we're going to decide which of those options we're going to adopt, and so we need some sort of process, and I think that sets out some sort of process.
So, yeah, I'm just right. Anyone else? Councillor Graham.
If we're going to have a look at the costs of getting those options, we also need to look at the costs of not doing anything. So workers' compensation, somebody's mental health, they have to be included somewhere too, I think. Can't just have one side without the other.
That's, I could just say, that's why I thought, by saying endorse in principle.
Yeah.
So I think in principle means we're going to move ahead with one of them, an alternative arrangement. Just not sure.
But you need to compare the costs.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Councillor Trembath want to go?
I understand the intent of what you want to happen there, but in the meantime, whilst we dally around finding alternatives and costs, our staff are still being put in potential situations that they shouldn't be, and there is always going to be a cost. And why don't we just accept that we have to have a safe workplace for our staff, and the cost will have to be borne by us, because we now have independent living units and they need management, and our staff shouldn't be doing this work. So I think this is just delaying it.
I'm going to suggest the bleeding obvious for one of the options, and that is people who normally do welfare checks are over in Queen Street, and they should be the ones doing it.
We don't need options.
You shouldn't be sending young people out to do welfare checks.
That's what they're concerned for.
All right, well, I'm happy with the amendment there, because that covers off what I just said, I think. So,
I wanted to speak with this. If we go down the path of having a real estate agent looking after these, we'll probably lose at least 10%. And if we're going to have a real estate agent going and doing welfare checks, that's what the young person at Ray White or Ray Livermore. So we have the same scenario out there in the general public. I don't know how it come that one of our staff had to do the welfare check up there. But I think to us to manage the units internally is a good thing, because we've got 3 trainees coming on board, and it'd be a great part of their job to have those, see where they manage their income, manage the maintenance and all the rest. I think it'd be a great experience.
Sure.
The other thing was just bad luck, and as one of the plaques I read today down at the Common, life and death is inevitable. I think that's on Janie Cosgroves. Thank you.
Okay. We've all had a good say here. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour?
That's Andrew's amendment.
Yes. So that's, everyone's in favour. So that amendment becomes the motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? And passed unanimously. Okay, we move on to 6. Council suspend the current youth council meeting format for 6 months and focus activities on new events and partnerships with local providers. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Graham, Councillor Tremblay. Councillor Graham.
I'd support that recommendation. The youth council has been suffering from non-attendance, and it just needs to be revamped in another way. And I think that 6 months would give us and the participants in the council a time to decide what really they want.
And I support the recommendation as well, for the very same reasons. We've been to many meetings where it's just been us.
And we're not that youthful.
Have nothing that we can add.
Councillor Gibbon.
Mr. Mayor, as per the Heritage Committee, you know, we've got a unified position from the Youth Council, so I think it's in Council's remit to approve what they're saying, and we have to rely on our representatives on that committee.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you. I'm just wondering whether, I understand there's not many current active members of the Youth Council, there may not be any, but if there are, have they been asked if they're happy to have it, you know, suspended and look at changing?
Has been discussed.
It has.
So,
Okay, anyone else? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Council replace Works and Finance Committees with 2 additional ordinary council meetings, subject to appropriate advertising in accordance with the code, with the provision to call others when required. Moving to seconder, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tremblay.
No.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to support that recommendation 7. I don't see an issue in having alternative ordinary council meetings, because, you know, we go to these works and finance committees and then we've got to bring that all back to another meeting. I like that idea. Thank you.
I support the recommendation.
Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, just for clarity, these 2 additional ordinary council meetings will have agendas that would have been for the Works Committee and the Finance Committee, and they would be dedicated to those activities, respectively, for each of those meetings.
So through the chair, if council can think back a little while now, it was a matter of a Works and a Finance Committee being a whole council committee, but not being able to, in fact, make decisions at that meeting. So we're just looking at ways of trying to facilitate that. And that is exactly how they would be presented.
I'm just trying to understand a bit. Certainly with the Works Committee, and in some degree the Finance Committee, they have run on a slightly less stringent meeting protocol probably than our ordinary council meetings, and there is areas for general business, and there are other issues can be raised as we go through. Is that going to be possible as an ordinary meeting? I mean, in principle, I understand where we're going, but I'm just asking a question.
So through the chair, the last 4 meetings that you've had have been held as extraordinary council meetings.
Yes. Yeah.
So they are run as a council meeting. The other option is you don't have them and you have steering committees and workshops like we are having now. We're just trying to work out how do we best represent that. So it's not trying to, well, it's trying to remove a couple of those meetings because we recognise how much councillors are in fact involved in workshops and steering committees and the like. So, but yeah, the intent would be to have an ordinary council meeting based on finance and an ordinary council meeting based on works.
So we'd have an ordinary council meeting bracket works, bracket, or something similar. Yeah,
So similarly to you have an extraordinary meeting for works now, it would just be programmed. We would update our code of meeting practice that says we are going to have additional meetings and here's what they are.
Yeah, I'm just asking that, obviously we have to respect that sometimes there is a slightly less formal agenda. You know, you can raise other business that's not normal in the ordinary, strict ordinary council meeting.
So through the chair, it doesn't stop the councillors from setting up a steering committee or that you have done in other scenarios
I'm just
where that can occur. All we're saying is that in regards to running or continuing to operate an extraordinary council meeting isn't in the best interest of the council. So how do we fix that? We make them ordinary, we bring them into the code of meeting practice and appropriately deal with them in that way.
So I'm assuming, therefore, that they will be at 5:30 PM on a Tuesday afternoon.
Through the chair, that would be the case, unless, of course, council resolved to do it in some other way.
Okay. I'm finished with my questions. Councillor King.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I could just ask a question. Currently, we have more than one works meeting and more than one financial meeting. Just the wording, not quite clear on it, says 2 additional meetings. Does that mean just one works and one financial, or does that mean 2 works and 2 financial?
Through the chair, I was looking at 2 works and 2 finance as the.
So that's 4 additional meetings, really.
It's to acknowledge that you do have these now, but also look at the options that we have available to us on our existing code by utilising committees how they should be.
I understand all that. What I'm saying is that this is not clear in the whether we have 2 works and 2 financial ones, or just one of each, or just 2 additional meetings of anything. So I think it should say 2 works and 2 financial.
No.
Or 2 or 4 additional meetings. Because that wording is not, it's not clear. It doesn't actually clearly state that there'll be 2 meetings of each jurisdiction. You know what I mean?
I take your point.
Yeah.
The intent is for 2 and 2.
Yeah, I understand all that, but I think the wording should be changed.
Yeah.
So maybe the mover and the seconder could agree to those changes, right, because they're only minor.
Yeah,
I think it does need clarification.
It does, I think.
Are you happy with that clarification, Councillor Trevor, Councillor Hayden?
I am.
Councillor Hayden nodded.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So, what's that for change?
Just an observation, that one of those finances is going to be in May, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
Or actually April.
Yeah. One will be in November.
And one perhaps in November.
That's normally where we have.
And the Works Committee is where they need to be.
Yes.
When we've got an agenda that's got enough in there to call it.
But equally, around operational plan development time, you may want to have a meeting just to discuss a large component of your operational plan.
You would normally have the first one before the financial meeting or prior to the budget, the budgetary process, or in somewhere in March, April, and then the second one would be around now. That's the way,
That would be,
that's the way I,
that would be our preference.
that's normal business practice.
That's
That
fine.
would be our preference.
Yep, no, that's all I've got for
That's all
you.
you got?
Sorry.
Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I don't have a problem with changing the finance committee into an extra council meeting. In my time here, I think we've only had one per year in May of each year to go through the IPNR documents, and if that becomes an actual council meeting rather than a committee meeting, and that can be implemented straight away, that's fine. The Works Committee, I think, is a bit different. I would prefer to see that remain as a committee so that we can have those more informal discussions and we can have general business. It is talking about our most important functions that council delivers, a huge proportion of our budget, and I think the opportunity to have those less formal discussions that don't have to be directly centred on whatever reports we're given, I think it is a benefit. I don't think it's a problem if it is a committee meeting where the minutes then have to go to the next ordinary meeting. I think that process works fine for other committees, and the same could happen with Works Committee. I don't know how I'll go, but I'll propose an amendment that the Finance Committee be replaced with one or more additional council meetings.
Sorry, I'm not sure what you're getting at there.
I'm just letting Sharon catch up before I continue. So I'm proposing an amendment which says that the Finance Committee be replaced with one or more additional council meetings, and the Works Committee be retained as a separate committee with any recommendations going to the next ordinary meeting for endorsement.
Ordinary meeting for
Endorsement.
Is there a seconder for this? Councillor McCarthy. Anyone else wish to speak to it?
Can I speak against that?
Against it, yeah.
I'd like to speak against that amendment, specifically because we can have the two additional works meetings held as ordinary meetings so that we can have discussions and make decisions, but I'm sure there will be the opportunity for us to still have a works steering committee day where we go, like we did recently, on the bus and look at things and have these discussions. But these are just meetings, not the whole of everything.
Councillor Kevin?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I think there's, I think within that group there's no sort of standing relation to the finance committees, that they should be provided by the additional ordinary meetings. I think that's probably agreed by all of us. I suppose the amendment raised by Councillor Tucker sort of talks to the areas I was a little concerned about, because we do have quite a lot of informal discussion in the Works Committee meeting, and because of the nature of it, it does allow us to do that. And because of the nature of some of the areas discussed, it can get down into quite a lot of detail, not only from councils raising issues, but the Technical Services Director talking and give us great more detail than is normally the case within a council meeting. And there's a bit of informality about raising other issues of general business, although it's obviously, you know, on the record. But so I understand where Councillor Tucker's coming from on this. I certainly, I think everyone agrees in the Finance Committee. I think it's just the Works Committee as to whether it retains, or whether we at least somehow have the opportunity to raise those informally. I don't know. Ask the General Manager, I suppose, how he sees the format of this ordinary meeting for the Works Committee to be conducted. I know you went into a little detail a minute ago, but maybe you can, you're the man can explain, just because it may alleviate concerns, it may not.
Through the chair, the code of meeting practice stipulates how a council meeting will run. The issue, the reason why this has been raised is, well, there's a number of reasons. The first one is that you currently have a council meeting every month, and sometimes staff trying to put an agenda together for the sake of putting an agenda together for something that can't be dealt with at that council meeting is sometimes just creating additional work and additional time for all concerned for no benefit. I have no issue with councillors ringing, providing general business. They do that quite regularly now, so I can't see the reason why that would be otherwise changed, because the way that if there's a works committee that still, it's not open to the public, so there's the same rules would apply to an informal briefing for lack of another option. The ability for councillors to set up or want to deal with steering committees and the like has otherwise been put in motion a number of times before. This is about trying to provide excellent resources to the staff that currently provide that now, and the additional meetings have some issues attached to those. But I don't propose to stop councillors from doing exactly what you've said, to have informal meetings, to have a works committee if that's how council want to deal with it. It's just a matter of then how do you present that?
I'll just make another observation. We've got 11 ordinary meetings a year. We're adding another 4, that's 15. An ordinary meeting is an ordinary meeting. You can bring anything up at it. We will focus on works or finance, but there will be opportunities if there's a limited number of agenda items to actually bring others in for the decision, because it's all councillors will be there. If we have a roads workshop at some point in the year, that is probably a good way of getting the basics sorted out. That doesn't need a resolution of council, that just needs agreement of the people who want to attend. So I'm thinking that 15 ordinary meetings a year is a hell of a lot of work for the staff. So we need to be flexible where what we put into them. The extraordinary meetings will focus on a particular area, but you may do finance and works in one. Because otherwise, we're going to end up putting ourselves into a place where our staff will be exhausted from producing papers. And an ordinary if it's an ordinary meeting, you can do what you like, but we don't have to, for example, have all the monthly reports and deal with those. We can actually deal with decision making rather than for information.
So, for instance, there would be an agenda item at the end, general business, to be raised by councillors in a works committee in particular.
Through the chair, under an ordinary meeting, no.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah. You can't have it.
Well, you do it every month, councillors. So you can bring any staff member at any point. In fact, we encourage councillors to do that.
Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you can have workshops around a particular issue for the works committee, wouldn't that be enough? Then you can just have the ordinary meetings and have a workshop if there was an issue that needed more discussion.
Through the chair, what staff are trying to do is give councillors some flexibility around your own code. That's what this is about.
Should we just put this one aside with an amendment that actually has further options come back to council.
Could I suggest, Mr Mayor, that we make the affirmative decision in relation to the finance committees, because I don't think there's any issue about that?
Okay.
Because I think everyone was in unanimous agreement on that. So I don't see a reason to defer that at all. So I'm prepared to put an amendment 7, I suppose it's 7.
So, we've now got to, hang on,
We've got an amendment, yeah.
at the moment. So how do you want it?
Well, we have to vote on the
Vote
amendment.
on that one. All right, I'll put the amendment.
Which is, sorry?
The Finance Committee be replaced with one or more additional council meetings, and the Works Committee be retained as a separate committee, with any recommendations going to the next ordinary committee for endorsement. So that's on the table right now.
So, Mr Mayor, you can do it. The further amendment I think you were suggesting a minute ago was that the first part would be the same.
Yep.
And that what we were saying, and that the Works Committee issue be deferred or discussed, what were you?
But further options for a Works Committee be brought back to council.
Is this an amendment to the
And
amendment?
if that's an amendment to the amendment, I'm prepared to support that second one.
I'm prepared to accept that.
In lieu of this one, yes. Right.
Because I think there's better ways of doing the Works Committee than the ways we have.
And I'm also cognizant of all the meetings and the demands on staff, and that was part of my reasoning for putting it forward as well.
So, Mr Mayor, if Councillor McCarthy supports that as well, then you've got the amendments, or they've agreed to that amendment.
You happy with that, Councillor McCarthy? All right.
You need to change it.
Can I have some words, please?
And the work, and options for the Works Committee be brought back to council for decision.
For consideration.
For consideration. All right. You happy?
I'm happy with
All right. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Amendment is passed. The amendment now becomes the motion.
Sorry, who's against?
Councillor Hayden.
Sorry,
Okay.
Councillor Hayden was against.
And Councillor
Trenbath.
Trenbath.
And Councillor Trenbath. And now that becomes the motion, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Same result, Councillor Trenbath and Councillor Hayden against. So that motion is passed. Before we go any further,
Kind of go back to the drawing board.
some of that discussion about the management options for the independent living units, there was some sensitive issues there, and I'll be grateful if they didn't come out in the paper.
Didn't hear anything about it, wasn't
Thank you.
Totally lost.
All right. Delegates to external organisations. We'll probably have a bit of a break for 10 minutes after this.
Yeah, please.
13.2, the recommendations that council appoint its delegates to external organisations for the following 12 months. Moving a second, yes. Councillor Kevin.
Mr Mayor, can I make the change that council appoint its delegates to external organisations for the following 2 months in line with what is in the recommendation? Because then we don't have to go through it.
Absolutely.
12 months?
Well, what we say to the times as presented.
Yes, as presented.
In accordance with the existing appointments?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's
According
right.
to the- Excellent.
I did second that. If you didn't say it.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, yes, I'm speaking to it.
You put no.
Yes, I'm finished, I'm putting it as is.
So seconding.
Yes.
So we had a mover who did an alternate motion, which is fine. Who's seconding? Councillor Graham. So, then, I've got a mover and a seconder.
Yes, I'm happy, yeah, I agree with, I don't need to speak to it, it speaks for itself.
I don't think we need to discuss it.
Can I just, one minor change? Councillor McCarthy and I are on the Pine Hill Community Consultative. And I was a delegate. Last term, Clive was the alternate. We just wanted to have Clive as the main one and I'm as the alternate this 12 months.
I'm happy to make an amendment to state that to the resolution. And the seconder is agreed.
Okay. Happy? Yep. Okay. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's passed unanimously. Okay. We will break till 8 o'clock. Give people time to unclog their brains and unwind the muscles.
Why don't we just do the next one? It's only a rubber stamp.
Go ahead with 13.3.
All right, 13.3, recommendations.
Pages out of the book.
The requirement to lodge it, return disclosing interest of councillors and designated persons. Mover and seconder, Councillor McKechnie, Councillor McKibben. Councillor McKechnie?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Councillor McKibben?
Yeah, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad that the redacted areas are, is that how those returns are on the public domain?
Yes.
I don't recall the returns actually being part of the business papers previously, have they been?
Through the chair, every year, yes.
They are. I know we make the recommendation, but I wasn't sure that they were, okay.
And they're required to be on the website.
All right, I mean, I note that even with the redacted sections, people seem to find out what, a lot of detail about us. But that's part of the course, part of the course of the duty. So I'm happy to second it.
Do you get a ticket to the chairman's registry, do you?
Anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak for or against?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just on that point about the redactions, I did notice that on my return, the address of the property I own was redacted, but further down the same page, the same address was left in there. So.
There you go, we'll have to fix that. All right, I'll put the motion, all in favour? Unanimous. All right, we will now break till 8 o'clock. Time is 8:01 PM and resuming the ordinary council meeting. Item 13.4, policy 2118, smoke-free workplace. The recommendation is that council place the revised smoke-free workplace policy 2118 on public exhibition for 28 days and submissions be invited to council during that period. If no submissions are received within the exhibition period, the policy be adopted as presented. And 3, delegate the general manager to amend any minor proposed changes. Mover and seconder, Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben.
I'm more than happy to move this recommendation in 3 parts, Mr. Mayor. I don't think it needs any explanation.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Happy to second the recommendation by the regulations of the board.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just a clarification, Mr. Mayor. Does that mean the barbecue area over the work depot now becomes that they can't smoke there?
No, through the chair, we have designated areas.
That's a designated area. No, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
I think there's what, 3 designated areas over there or something?
Through the chair, there's one in the depot or anywhere outside the front gate, to be honest, where we have no power to enforce.
Yeah, that's fine, as long as they've got somewhere to leave themselves.
Okay, anyone else? I'll move the motion, all in favour? That's unanimous. All right, 13.5, DA 10 2022.7.2, modification to delete condition 25 at 364 Ginkin Road, Ginkin Valley Road, Ginkin. The recommendation is that council supports the request to vary section B 14 12.9 of the Oberon Development Control Plan 2001 for dwelling setbacks and buffers. And Council modified the notice of determination of DA 10/2022.7.2 as shown by deleting condition 25 for the provision of the tree buffer to be planted, and 3, a division be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act of 1993. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've read through this and obviously looked at the deletion which appears on page 56 and 57 of our papers, and having read through it, I think that the deletion of the restriction is warranted, and I support the recommendation in parts 1, 2 and 3.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Happy to second the motion. I've read the recording clause well, and I'm happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Trembath.
I want to speak against it. That development consent must have been important to have put it in place in the first place. And the landowner knew the development consent conditions for a buffer zone, but it's just gone ahead and built the house. And now asking for the condition to be deleted. So when, in their response, they detailed exactly why they want to delete the views and possibly the wind. And on my understanding, why wouldn't you come to council and request for that deletion to be made before, and not hoping that at the final inspection we'll say, yes, you don't have to put the trees in. It's just very disappointing that we do not express more clearly the variations and the importance of discussing those with council beforehand, but just going ahead, building the house, and then let's ask for forgiveness afterwards. It just makes a mockery of why we do have development consents. So why not just open so that everyone can go do whatever they wish? So that's just my feeling on it. They should have come to council prior to laying out where they were going to place that house on the land. And it probably would have been approved. But the way that they've gone about this now, it just looks disingenuous, disrespectful of what we have as our development control plans.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I understand where people get themselves into this predicament, and several times in the past we've had to modify it for environmental reasons, things like that happen. But I see that we haven't started our 2022 land study, which could get rid of this. The 150 metres wasn't something that the Oberon Council come up with. It was something the Agricultural Department put on us to get our LEP approved in 1998? Yeah, 1998. So it's been around as a compromise all that way through. It's a shame sometimes, you get a predicament, but yeah, we need to move forward, and I hope Councillor sitting beside me, Mrs. Lauren Trembath, moves and gets this 2022 land study that we're supposed to do underway. Have we got someone appointed yet to do it?
No. At this point in time, the scope's been developed.
Okay, no, the previous mayor said it was supposed to be done 2022. Kathy said that was all.
Through the chair, the process has always been advised to council on where this is up to.
I realise that, but it eliminates, it can alleviate these things.
Through the chair, not the initial process will not. That's what you do at the end of the process to develop your development control plan. It's not the first thing you look at.
Yeah.
Equally, funding these types of things, staff always look at how you can best value add that for your community, and there is another funding option to go down the path that we're going at this point in time. So it's something that's high on our agenda.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor McKibben?
Right of reply, I think, Mr. Look, I understand Councillor Trembath's concerns. However, the recommendation is supported by council staff, and the extent of non-compliance is minimal. Listen,
10 metres.
Yeah, 10 metres basically. 20 on one side and 10 on the other, I think, and 31 on the, so it is minimal. And if council staff had come back with a recommendation not to approve for a number of reasons, then my position would probably be different and in accordance with Councillor Trimbar's position. But I think council staff, we have to rely on them, have analysed this and looked at this and believe it's minimal and is not of major input. And there have been, I'm assuming, no objections from anyone else. So on that basis, I'm prepared to move to propose the recommendation in 3 parts.
Anything else? So that was a right reply. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Trimbar against, the rest of the councillors for. Motion is passed. All right, Oberon Common Rotunda replacement, item 13.7. And the recommendation of the council proceed with the building submission from Mararantha Constructions Proprietary Limited, an equated amount of $31,780 ex GST to build a new hardwood Mervow timber rotunda, including a new corrugated iron roof and trim. Moving seconder, Councillor McKibben. Councillor Tucker. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I missed the common working committee that I think resolved that this should be in the powder coated metal, and I was a little concerned about its appearance, bearing in mind that it's currently constructed of wood, and I did have a feeling that if proper stirrups and everything were placed in, that the likelihood of rot, etc., would be reduced, because I recall the current rotunda is basically in a PVC pipe with a wood in it, and it didn't look to me particularly good quality wood, and I think that's confirmed by the report here. After the Common Working Party meeting, which I missed, I went and had a look at it, and so I think to keep the ambience, and I realise, I understand why people recommended for longevity the powder coated, but I think if a hardwood structure is constructed properly, it should last, and I think the appearance should be superior to that of a powder coated metal. So I'm more than happy to recommend this.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll support it for exactly the same reasons. I'd like to keep that same sort of style going through the common that we have always had there. It's a couple of thousand extra over the steel and aluminium, but I think it's worth it for that reason, so I will happy to second it.
Wish to speak? Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I support the recommendation. I did note there was no pictures or examples of the powder coated steel compared to that, but doing it alike for like, it's fine. Just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you. Councillor Carthy.
I'm just concerned about the maintenance, Mr. Mayor, that's all.
That will be an issue. But personally, I think that every other structure in the common involves wood or stone, and I think that this one should be wood. Yeah.
And Mr. Mayor, we've spent a considerable amount of money on our walls down there, the Legends wall and the Rose Garden wall. I think we want to maintain the ambience and the environment if we can. Obviously, probably the painting will, as Councillor McCarthy says, we'll have to keep the paint on it, but the quality of paints are considerably better than they used to be, and if gaps are filled properly, etc. I mean, I've noticed that definitely the quality of paints has improved, and you should get a lot longer than previously out of paints.
Yeah, a bit of. I'll take that as your right to reply.
That's right.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor McCarthy is against, the rest for. And the motion is passed. Accessible playground on the common. The recommendation is that council note and accept the feedback from the Oberon Disability Action Plan Group, supporting the Moduplay accessible playground layout equipment and its location. Proceed with the Stronger Country Communities Round 5 funded project for relocation of the accessible playground to be co-located alongside the existing children's playground in Oberon Common. Councillor Hayden, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to support the recommendation. It is a bit of a disappointment that the Liberty Swing can't be included, but perhaps down the track we can look at some funding and include that later on. Happy to move that.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
The report speaks for itself, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor McKibben.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm just a little confused on the costings vis-a-vis the grant. Does the grant cover everything at the moment?
Yes.
But we don't have enough for the swing, is that right?
No, through the chair, the Liberty Swing was an add-on that council's asked us to go and have a look at. So that's what the result of this is.
It's okay.
Right, go on, Pat.
Through the chair, sorry, there is a co-contribution, I think, 15,000 yes.
Councillor Tucker.
Very minor point, Mr. Mayor, just in recommendation 2, it talks about funded project for relocation of the accessible playground rather than not a relocation.
Location.
Yeah,
Location.
I can clarify that. So through the mayor, the original location in the application is further down the path. Yeah, so it's relocated up next to the current children's playground.
That sounds good. Anyone else? I'll put the motion all in favour. Passed unanimously. Malachi Gilmore Hall, removal of a single tree. Recommendation is that council permit the removal of the mop top Rubina tree and tree grate at the front of 124 Oberon Street, Oberon, as the works are considered minor heritage. Works under clause 510.3A1 and 2 of the Oberon LEP 2013. Paving bricks be installed to the satisfaction of Council's Technical Services Director, and the western public seating bench is to be relocated back against the adjoining wall to the west to increase the available forecourt space and improve visibility of new planter beds. Can I have a move and a second? Councillor McKibben. Councillor Tucker. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have had a look at, as we all have, at this tree, and it is a small specimen. There's an oak trees all along our street, so I don't think that this will remove the ambience of the street or anything else, and I can see why the owners would want it removed. So I think overall, looking at it, I would agree with the recommendations in 3 parts.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I've had a look at it too, and as best as I can work out, it looks to me as though it's right on the boundary. So they would probably be within their rights to get a chainsaw and cut it right down the middle and take half of it away.
My view entirely.
But it's not an attractive tree anyway. Most of the year it's trimmed back, but it's just like a stick sticking out of the ground. So I think we can do better than that. I'm happy to see it gone.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Hayden.
I'd like to speak against the recommendation. I've had some conversations with numerous members of the public down the main street. They don't want the tree removed. The tree's been there since the 80s. It was discussed with me who was part of the program that planted the tree. The tree is actually quite an attractive tree through the summer months when people are sitting in the alcove area. They are shaded by that tree. It gives a little bit of privacy when people are sitting there having their chats and coffee. I don't support the recommendation, and is this not bringing up one of the council's concerns again about just removing trees because someone doesn't want it there or doesn't like it there? Through the winter months, it doesn't detract from the Malachi Gilmore Hall's Art Deco appearance, because it in itself looks very Art Deco whilst it's pruned back into a blob of nothingness. But during those summer months, it is actually a beautiful tree. So that's all I have to say on it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor
Yeah, I think the photograph of the tree doesn't do it justice. But where we're gonna relocate the seat back to, is it between the seat and the garbage bin, or is that our land? This was a part of the streetscape, and I understand, I thought better walls were part of the system then, when all this went in, and they were amenable to having all this go ahead. Yeah, so where's the seat going to be located? It says there on the western side or something.
Yeah, that against the wall of the bank.
Yeah, do we own that ground there? Do we have to get permission from the bank to relocate it? I mean,
I have no idea whose land it is.
It'll be on Malachai's land, I suspect.
okay,
It'll be still on Malachi Gilmore's land.
yeah, that's what I'm getting. So are they amenable to that?
I think that was their suggestion.
It's their suggestion.
The scope is in the report.
Okay, that's all right. Oh, okay. So we're paying for all this?
Through the check, no, as well. No, it's from the owner.
They're going to relocate the chair as well?
Yep.
Okay. They got qualifications to relocate a public chair? I take it?
It's on private land, probably.
Okay.
So subject to a council approval, I would suspect so, yes, councillor?
Yeah, no, that's not.
Okay, any more? Right reply?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the other areas to note are the comments from in the Conservation Management Plan and the Heritage, the heritage. The tree has been identified in conservation management as intrusive to the heritage significance of state heritage listed building, and also the comment at the bottom that they're planning to include a new garden bed in front of the new toilet block, the design that will based on the period of the architecture. I'm not absolutely certain where the new toilet block's going, and maybe the Director of Planning could advise, but I'm assuming it's going,
It's already there.
It's there, isn't it? Yeah, I thought it was there.
Behind that wall.
Yeah, so, that's right, so I'm assuming that will add to the amenity and appearance in maybe a more suitable way than the current tree.
Okay, no more, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Councillor McCarthy and Councillor Hayden against. Rest 4, motion is passed. Sponsorship requests we've already done, thankfully. 1311, tourism brochure advertising plan. Recommendations that council endorse the proposed advertising strategy to guide the development of the new tourism brochure. Commence the advertising, sales and design phase of the new tourism brochure for the Oberon region. Moving second, please. Councillor Trimbar, Councillor McKibben. Councillor Trimbar.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the proposed advertising strategy. I mean, the director's given us the information that we requested at the previous meeting. And it clearly sets out the spend and the recoup of costs with regards to advertising, which is, that detail's really good. And I think it provides us with the confidence that the sales are very doable if you look at the benchmarks that you've put in place and the advertisers that you are going to approach. So I think that's a great strategy. And then being a full service agency is definitely what we need. You don't have the resources internally to look after various stakeholders to design, print and sell advertising. So a full service agency I think is great. And thank you for providing that information.
Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I fully endorse the comments by Councillor Trimbar and the detail as Councillor Trimbar provided, best, worst and medium scenarios in relation to advertising and potential cost of council, I think is excellent, and I look forward to seeing the new brochure. I think it'll be great. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden, please.
Yeah, just a couple of questions in relation to this. When we had our last meeting and we had the discussion regarding the brochure, we deferred the final decision on the brochure pending further information. So currently now this is going out for advertising. After discussions through OBTA and with others there, they had even management had mentioned that cold calling and email isn't going to be real great for advertising, and then there was a time frame proposed of 18 months. Is that still the same, 18 months before any further thought processes goes into the determination of how it's going to be laid out?
Through the chair, I have read the OBTA notes. I don't know if that's been misconstrued. At the bottom of the advertising plan, we have put a timeline about the development of the design and advertising, where this brochure is looking to be live in March. So I'm not sure on that OBTA discussion at 18 months. From my reading of the minutes, I think I could understand people asking about how long, what's the longevity of this brochure?
That was the statement that come from your manager.
Yeah, so I think from my understanding of that conversation is based on the longevity of the brochure, and that's where we look at about 15,000 brochures would get us about a year and a half. And at that time, we'd look to do a refresh or a new campaign. But this brochure is imminent, and sales and creative will start in October, should council support.
Okay, so just if I can, through the mayor to the general manager. So if we're moving this now, at the next meeting, we'll have to bring back the other one that we deferred and progress on to that as well. The motion that we deferred in previous meetings regarding the brochure.
So this report is the report we brought back after that deferral.
Right, this is just an advertising plan.
No, it talks about the
Right.
It talks about costs.
and design phase of the new tourism
Yep, no,
project.
that's fine, it's just how it's headed, saying it's the brochure advertising plan. It doesn't further go on from what our last conversation was in the previous meeting where we had deferred a decision.
Through the chair, can I ask what you would like to see in the report that hasn't been dealt with?
Yeah, I'll do it through the week, I'm not going to go into it now, it's too broad.
Okay, anyone else? I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Councillor Carty? Yep, so unanimous. Okay. Item 13.12, DA 2023-34.1, 47 Scotia Avenue, Oberon, a new dwelling, shed and carport. The recommendation is that Council vary Part C5.5, building height plane of the Oberon Development Control Plan 2001 in relation to development application 2023-34.1 for construction of a dwelling, shed and carport and pergola at Lot 11 in DP 1249872, being known as 47 Scotia Avenue, Oberon. And 2, a division be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act of 1993. Moving seconded, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, Mr Mayor, these blocks are hard to build on and get the result, but one thing in the report I'm missing, that the neighbours would have been notified and have no comment, that would have been suited me fine. But anyway, I'll endorse the report.
It's on page 77.
Through the chair, number 2, comments.
Okay, I couldn't see it, no submissions were received, that's good. I thought it was a bigger statement than that normally. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to second that. Just in some clarification through this build, the adjoining neighbours were under the impression that it was just a shed and not a shed house. So they didn't understand that it was a double-storey dwelling and they thought it was for just a shed. So those two parties have actually had conversations with each other, and then one of the conversations has come back to me. Even so, they still don't object to it, and it's not going to overshadow, so I am in support of it. But the notification that those two residents got they thought it was a shed in the beginning. So I just wanted to bring that to council's attention.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I may, Mr Mayor. The notification letter does say the application, new dwelling, shed and carport, and it did go to the
Yeah,
neighbours.
I think they've just taken it as a shed and not.
All right, Councillor McKibben, you had your hand up?
Well, all I was going to say is, when you look at the size of the block and what's being proposed on there, does seem quite crowded, but as there are no submissions from any, apart from what Councillor Hayden has just indicated, I'm happy to proceed, but it does look as though we're, packed, the lots are quite, well, it looks like relatively small, and there's been quite a lot going on to it. But that's not our position to determine. Is there submission?
Councillor McKibben?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too have been approached by one of the neighbours with some concerns, even though they said they were notified and they didn't make any objections. And but if we could just clarify something for me through the director. In the summary, it says it's a single story and will be constructed of timber frames, weatherboard cladding and a metal roof. I assume that comes from the DA, and they would have to apply to vary that if they wanted to have gal cladding, for instance, instead of weatherboard. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that'd be correct, yes.
Okay, so, and that that statement in the summary of timber frames with weatherboard cladding and a metal roof, that comes pretty much from the DA, doesn't it?
Through the chair, that's correct. It's on the plans, and the plans will, if it's endorsed tonight, the plans will be referenced in the consent.
Yep.
And they need to comply with the plans then.
Okay, does it mention the steel roof or the metal roof, what that is, whether it's actually colour-bond or zinc gal or zinc
Or trim deck.
We generally don't allow gallows in town because of
No,
the infection.
that's going to be a question.
It says galvanised iron roof.
Okay, so why are we allowing that and not colour-bond?
Can I just before you go, through the chair, this isn't to approve the dwelling, it's to approve the variation.
Yep.
And if council has a concern over the fact that there's a gal roof, now would be the time to say, and we don't support a gal roof.
Well, the neighbours definitely don't support a gal roof. They were under the impression that it was gal from the builder. And this is when they came and saw me on the weekend, because submissions were already, time was already up, but there was some concerns that the roof would be gal and not colour-bond, which appears to be the case now. So I think if that had been made clear to the neighbours, there would have been some submissions. But I just want to make that clear that, it's against the council policy to have gal.
So are you going to propose an amendment?
Oh, yeah.
Through Mr Mayor, now's the time to knock it out.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Propose an amendment. And
Yeah, I'm proposing that we don't approve the application, the DA, with a gal roof or any gal cladding at all.
Why don't we just add a third recommendation?
Yeah.
That the dwelling, carport and shed have a colour-bond roof in lieu of galvanised roof as a condition.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I think that's a better way to do it.
And what is the shed and carport constructed of? Are they constructed
Colour-bond, I
of
think,
colour-bond,
isn't it?
or is it galvanised? The
Colour-bond.
walls?
Can't use colour-bond, it's a trade name. It's a product.
Through the chair, the shed is constructed termite treated timbers and trusses and clad with galvanised iron to match the dwelling.
To match the galvanised iron, well, the dwellings,
Are they
the
using
dwellings.
galvanised iron
Is that a term?
I mean, when you say galvanised, I see
Yeah,
bright shiny stuff.
exactly, that's what the issue is. And it
Coloured,
says here,
coloured,
that
coloured.
window
on
shades are
maybe.
from gal iron as well.
Coloured galvanised, powder coated.
But that's not what it says.
No.
And that's what the builder has told the residents,
Trim deck sheeting.
the neighbours, but because it was after the submission time, they come and raised it with me on Saturday evening, and I said, oh, it's in the meeting for a variation of the height plane, but I'll just ask the question.
So we could say the iron to be used must not be of a zinc finish or a galvanised finish, and must have a colour.
Through the chair, the energy efficiency report, the basic certificate indicates a medium coloured roof, so not a light colour or a highly reflective colour roof. So it's tied up in that document, but we can make it more specific. So
I think we should make it more specific in this.
And the walls too of the shed and the
walls
carport.
of the, yeah.
And if they're going to match the house, they should be in weatherboard.
Well, I think some people have different views on textures, but I mean, if we just say medium coloured metal cladding and roofing.
Not shiny silver.
For the dwelling, shed and carport. Well, the carport doesn't have walls.
So that the dwelling, carport and shed be required to be constructed of a product that is not zinc or galvanised iron finish and must be a coloured metal finish.
Yes.
Medium, what was your terminology, Damien, sorry?
Medium colour.
Medium density, medium shade or something?
Yeah, medium shaded. Yeah.
A medium colour
And
metal.
I like
medium
shades.
solar absorbent or medium colour, medium reflective colour.
But it could be, I mean, black if you want.
Normally if it's dark, it's a dark
medium
silver or black. But
Medium reflective colour metal finish,
Yeah, that's
or
fine.
just, is that the word?
Yep.
Is it, through the chair, Mr Mayor, is this an amendment or are we adding a point 3 to the?
Point three.
No, this is point 3. Adding point 3.
Thank you.
Who's the movement second?
So Councillor McCarthy was the mover and Councillor Hayden seconded.
Yeah, if that's added as a third point, I'm happy not to move an amendment, you know.
You happy with that?
Just through the chair, in terms of the notification, a copy of the plans were also sent to the adjoining neighbours, so they did have the plans to view.
Yeah, they did say that they got them, but it didn't.
Let me read.
Until they spoke.
Have a copy of the elevations and the site plan. They don't get the floor plan, of course, and it's redacted, but they do get the.
And
thank you.
I think one of the neighbours actually had the builder there looking at a job for them, and the builder, same builder is building this, and that's where the information came from, and there was a little bit of a panic on Saturday then, and then they contacted me on Saturday evening. But that's fine. I just wanted to raise it because they asked me to.
No, that's fine.
I think it's fine, reasonable.
You can go back and give them good news.
Well, they're probably watching.
So, can you just bring that paragraph 3 up, please?
Maybe not. No, I don't imagine it would be on a computer. Anyway, I don't think silver gold.
No. Exactly. Mine probably. House wants to get a galvanised. I said, no way.
Okay, the movement second are happy with that third paragraph?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay.
Reflective or non-reflective?
Okay, so we're happy with paragraph 1 and 2 from the discussion there, and we're adding this paragraph 3 to just belts and braces to make sure that that's what it is. That's everyone's happy, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was just worried about the medium reflective colour metal. Reflective, non-reflective. We just,
All right, we have voted.
yeah, okay.
Passed unanimously. All right, thanks, councillors. Item 13, 13, Ben Nevis Close Oberon. Our first one we've had to deal with Highland Estate. Recommendation that council approve a variation of restriction on title of Lot 24 in DP 1292435 in relation to the development application 10/2023-26.1 for construction of a dwelling on the subject land known as 13 Ben Nevis Close, Oberon, to allow the development consent to be granted for the location of the dwelling and the effluent disposal area outside to be defined of the defined building envelope. A division is to be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor McKibben, Councillor Hayden, Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note that the building envelope has shifted and the dam has been filled in. And I note that this is quite a reasonable sized piece of land. And I've looked at where on page 80 where it shows the septic tanks, etc., and the location of the house. And I've read the detail, and I think with all taking everything into account that the recommendations in 1 and 2 are reasonable. And noting that staff have recommended it as well on that basis.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to second the recommendation. I'm aware of the septic tank, etc., and the filling in of the dam. I'm also one of these that I believe if they've got a block of land and they want to build a house and it's not going to detract from the overall outlook of everyone else's properties there, and we're short of housing, so I'm very happy to move that recommendation so they can build a house.
Councillor Trimble.
I'd just like to speak to it and note that this is the way that you should approach council when you want to make changes. You do it at the very beginning and it goes straight through, as opposed to ginking.
Correct. Okay, anyone else wish to speak? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Policy 4104. Public gates and grids. The recommendation is council adopt the revised public gates and grids policy 4104 as amended and presented. Moving to seconder. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Tucker. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have, reading this, put a couple of comments through to the director, and it's, and I agree basically with the policy, and I think the policy, as per the recommendation, should be presented. What I'm a little uncertain about is the liability question, and I'm just wondering if we should seek some input from the JO, because obviously we're not the only ones who has grids and gates on certain roads, because obviously council has a certain exemptions from people who are injured on roads and under the, I'm not sure it's a Local Government Act or whatever it is. However, where you have a grid and a gate maintained by a private landholder, I'm assuming that exemption does not apply to them. And if it doesn't apply to them, and we are checking the maintenance of it, or should be verifying the maintenance, where does the liability rest necessarily if someone is injured going over that grid, there's a car accident, and Whereas someone who puts their stock on the road, for instance, has to have a $20 million public liability. I don't think we're insisting it's that, the landholder who has a grid or a gate. I'm not sure. So I'm certainly suggesting that this goes, be endorsed, but there would be a number of councils, all councils in the JO would have the same issues as us. I'm not sure if any one of them have ever obtained any advice on this, but it'd be worth inquiring. I'm not suggesting we necessarily go out, but there is an issue about this. We're ensuring that the standards are being maintained by inspecting. I think we suggested every 2 years. Council's public roads are our responsibility, but we have a grid and or a gate, which is maintained by a private individual. I'm just not sure where the situation, then we're asking them to maintain a certain curtilage either side of that, if I can use that word. It's a little bit of a grey area.
Lots of those in property and law.
Yes, I realise that.
I think
all I'm saying is, let's get the policy up and running.
Okay.
But if we get an opportunity within the JO or somewhere else, maybe we should raise it.
I think that sits with when the technical services directors get together and do stuff.
Yes, but I think it's worth investigating. Any comments, gentlemen?
Only more questions, councillor.
Fine. That was my view. And the only other thing is, in the submission, I think was agreed that we put what's required to go with the application. Did we actually was there a list with the application of what we require from the landholder?
There's a whole bunch of them in the.
Yeah, but I think they're the ones isn't that the ones we have to tick off, or was there a list of them?
That is our checklist.
That's our checklist, right?
Yeah, certainly, but I mean, the policy does spell out pretty well what's required. If you're going to look at any.
Okay, I'm going to hear from Councillor Tucker.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree with those concerns because I think virtually no matter what we say about it being owners' responsibilities, if someone has an accident and they see a council with lots of money and a landowner with not much money, they're going to go to the council. And so we just need to try to do what we can to demonstrate that we are aware of them and that we've got processes in place to make sure that as far as possible they're being kept to a reasonable standard. So that was the purpose of quite a number of the comments that I made to the original draft, was to try to improve that assurance that they would be maintained to a good standard. And I am pleased to see that the policy now has the bit about we will write to people on a regular basis, and I suggested 2 years, to make sure that we don't go too long without knowing who it is who's responsible for it. And rather than waiting 10 years and then someone makes a claim and then we find out that the person we thought owned it left 6 years ago or something like that. So that is a good improvement. The one further point that I want to suggest as a minor change, and I think this could be done without it needing to go into the resolution, it would be a minor change that I assume the GM could make. And it relates to maintenance of the road itself on both approaches to a grid. So at the moment, the policy under section 3 maintenance in paragraph A, it says that the adjoining owners of the grid or gate is responsible for maintaining the grid or gate to council standards. Maintenance includes blah, 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 and road approaches. And I'm suggesting that we add, after the words road approaches, that we add for a distance of 6 metres from each side of the grid and gate. Now, the last time we discussed this, Councillor McCarthy said that he recalled that we previously had such a requirement that people look after the road for 6 metres. I can't remember if that was in the actual policy at the time or not. I said I could recall a figure of 20 metres, and I have found where that 20 metres comes from. It's not in the Act, but it's in the regulations. And the relevant regulation says the holder of a public gate permit must ensure that the road approaches to the gate are maintained in good condition for the distance, brackets not exceeding 20 metres, from each side of the gate and for the width determined by the roads authority when granting the permit. So I'm suggesting 6 metres because that's far enough that our graders or rollers don't need to go right up to the grid, and that is what has caused problems in the past. People claim, rightly or wrongly, that council has damaged the grid while grading a road, and we end up with the job of having to send people out to repair it. If we stay 6 metres back, it eliminates that claim being made against us. So I'm just suggesting adding those words.
Okay. Can I just ask under what reg that is so we can?
It's under the Roads Act regulations.
So have you got a number?
I haven't got the number, but if you refer to the same part and division, in this it referred to the Part 9 Division 2 of the Roads Act. If you look under Part 9 Division 2 of the regulations, you'll find it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll put that down as a minor amendment,
Yeah.
6 metres either side.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify that we just get to make sure that that's
you
what
confirm that
it
what
says?
I have said is correct.
That's
Yeah, and if you're satisfied, then add those words in.
Anyone else wish to say anything? Councillor McCarthy?
It's exactly what Councillor Tucker said, that we get blamed for filling the grids in if we come right up to them. And that's dominant down Bailey's Lane where they've just done a good job of putting some blue base down, but it's right up to the grid.
But it's not only filling them in, it sometimes has been damage to rails as well.
And the other one is Murray's Lane where you've got some lightweight grids, but they must meet the 44 tonne or whatever it is. But if you come right up to them with a roller, and you'll only smash them because it's made out of the lines that come out of Burriga tram line. So it's
okay. All right, anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. 1315 drug and alcohol policy. The recommendation is that council place the revised drug and alcohol policy 2119 on public exhibition for 28 days and submissions be invited to council during that period. If no submissions are received within the exhibition period, the policy will be adopted as presented. Delegate the general manager to amend any minor changes proposed. Moving to seconder, Councillor Trembath and Councillor McKibben. Councillor Trembath.
Yes, I'm happy to endorse the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor McKibben.
I think Mr. Brown, happy to second it in the recommendation in 3 parts. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, MOU, Oberon Council and Oberon Multipurpose Service Temporary Evacuation Centre. The recommendations that council endorses the proposed MOU for signing by the general manager. Moving to seconder, please. Councillor Tucker, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, this has come back to us the second time. And following discussions between council and the MPS, and both parties are happy with it. I've read through it and I'm happy with it, so I'm happy to move it.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to second the recommendation, and I'm glad to see that we've sorted out those little extras in there that were required.
Yes. Anyone else wish to comment or question? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Unaudited financial statements. Oh, there's Zoe. Yes. Recommendation is that council accept the 2022-23 unaudited financial statements in accordance with section 413(3). The annual financial report is in accordance with Local Government Act 1993 as amended, and the regulations made thereunder, the Australian Accounting Standards and Professional Pronouncements, and the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting, presents fairly the Council's operating result and financial position for the year, and accords with the Council's accounting and other records. Delegate the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, General Manager and Corporate Services Director to sign the 2022-23 financial statements when the Audit Office review has been received and there are no material changes required. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor McKibben.
Oh, sorry, I just realised. Am I able to move a recommendation that delegates me to sign accounts? I probably can't. I don't know.
It says there you have a delegation as Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I realise that, but can I move a recommendation that delegates myself? I can, right? Okay, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
I'm just, was a bit, when I put my hand up, I suddenly thought, can I do this? Yeah.
Procedure. Now I need to second it. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor McKibben.
No, look, I've looked through these and I looked through them for the ARIC report, so I'm more than happy with the unaudited financial statements. I note that we have a net operating result of 11 million, which is largely due to having to recognise some grants at the time we received them. So on that basis, I'm more than happy to move the recommendation in two parts.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
I'm happy with the report, Mr Mayor. Just don't tell Mr Hensey that down at Macquarie. When we had a shot at this one, we moved once for all.
Okay, anyone else would like to speak to this? All right, Zoe, have you got any highlights you'd like to point out?
Sorry, I just had to find the mute button. No, I think the financial statements have come through quite well. As Councillor McKibben has suggested, the profit is up due to the recognition of operating grants we received. We had to recognise them up front, although some of those monies are still expected to be restricted to be spent on those specific purposes. So Council doesn't necessarily have any additional money to allocate to other projects. Apart from that, Council seemed to operate quite well last year within our means, which is a good start coming into this financial year.
Just one that I always like to watch, the interest is increased to by 500,000 earnings from interest, which is lovely.
Okay, anyone else? Put the motion, all in favour? Passed unanimously. All right, reports and information. Of the activity report from General Manager, recommendations at item 14.1 received as information. Councillor Hayden and Councillor Trimber. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the report. I was just trying to find the notes because I did have something I wanted to bring up, but anyway, I'll leave that now. I'm happy to second it, thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Trimber?
Yeah, just a question, Mr Mayor, on the WHS section. I just noticed, I see every month we don't have any hazards reported, or we don't have any near misses. And that, I find that hard to believe that we wouldn't have some hazards or some near misses in our workplaces consistently. But maybe it's right. Through the chair, constantly reminding our workforce that a near miss is just an accident waiting to happen, and to report those things is somewhat difficult. But we are working hard to try and indicate to our staff, if you do that, it's not you're in trouble. It's having those comfortable conversations. Exactly, and the same reporting hazards or uncomfortable ones too. sure there's plenty of hazards living in here. But anyway, it's just an observation, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Just wondering if the General Manager could update us as to whether on the land development opportunities and the prospective purchase of the land in the industrial estate, or whether that's moved along.
Through the chair, the prospective purchase has been advised that we've come to that solution, but it hasn't gone past that point at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. And has the DA been prepared for Curtis and Dudley Street, Chair?
Through the chair, I am the one doing that.
Okay.
And it is
in the to-do list?
No, I've nearly completed it. However, when I do something for council, I have to then step away from this, from how it gets assessed. So like anyone else doing something like this, you have to do it correctly, and when you've got 25 metres of fall between the top and the bottom, there's some things that you have to do in order to justify to councils and public authorities about how you're going to dispose of certain stuff. So there has been some work done in that space, or there is been some work done in that space.
Thank you. And the waste workshop, I think that's now the 12th of October, is it? And the 26th of September? Is that right?
No, through the chair, the waste workshop is the 26th of September.
It is the 26th?
Yeah, the 12th of October is our TI and rates workshops.
Right.
Can we get those out?
We'll provide those out to councillors formally very quickly.
Good, thank you. That's all I have this morning.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy, you had your hand up?
It's just the, in your WH&S risk, is one of the utes, one of these, one of two, there's a ute up at Smash Repairs, looks a bit out of shape, is that one?
That would be the case, yes.
Okay, thank you. Can I take the logo off the side while it's being repaired?
I don't think we can with that one.
Okay, right. And the other one was, for this waste workshop, I come in the other day and I got a map of the, can I get a map of the existing waste facility and the neighbouring property to the north? For discussion at the waste workshop, please.
We'll give overall plans to councillors to consider, so.
Okay, I got one the other day, but it's not what I requested. The staff are very good and they give me, but it's not what I'm after. I'm after the land map.
The zoning map or the cadastral map?
I'm after the land we own now, it's the tip. Yep. And the land directly to the north.
So our adjoining landowners?
Yeah, adjoining neighbour, please.
Councillor Hayden?
Yes, back to my question that I couldn't find. In relation to that WHS coordinator with technical services for the facilities manager, sorry, not for the technical services, the council's facility manager, when they're dosing the pool chemicals, are they going to be doing ChemCert training in regards to that as well?
Yep. Okay. So we have a number of our staff that go through that ongoing chemical training.
Yeah.
All those people who are required to use chemicals will go through appropriate training.
Anyone else?
I just had a question, and it might relate to the engineer more than anything. And we're doing a massive amount of training, which is fine. You look like buying some new trucks. Are we going to be qualified to service them? In respect that I understand that one of the locals had finally got his truck. To get it serviced, he had to go to Dubbo to get it serviced. In respect that Johnson's in Bathurst are the authorised service provider of that model truck. I'd just like some clarification.
We'll look at that in.
Okay, no, that's fine, but I just see all the training and
Yeah, we'd have to take it on notice.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I think it should be moderated confidential.
Just,
Yeah, just with servicing his report.
All right, Aaron. I'll put the motion, all in favour? Motion is passed. Item 14.3, technical services.
42.
14.2.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. No, 14.2, yes. 14.2, monthly planning and reporting, monthly activity report, planning and development. Recommendations of 14.2 has received information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Trenbar, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. I went up for a drive and had a look at the brief amenities building. It's looking good. I'm still waiting on when this off-leash park might be starting, but I gather you've got further information in regards to that now. How is that going along through Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Through the chair, a lot of contractors been engaged now to install the fence as the first part, and indicating commencing in 2 to 3 weeks, and it'll take a couple of weeks to install.
Awesome, very good. Thank you. Nothing further to add.
I'm happy to second it, and just to note that your staff require a medal if they use the planning portal. Being part of the JRPP, and I think Councillor Hayden is aware, she had to come in to one today. It's a beast, so compliments to your staff for finding their way around it and using it.
So for people
Okay, anyone
who
else?
have to use it to submit.
Councillor McCarthy, please.
Just two things. Is the directors aware of this planning performance dashboard report from the state government? Shows that our DAs are 120 days. Anyway, we're about the third worst on the list. But
Can I ask, in relation to what, councillor? Is it in
it says
relation to
DA approvals, that's all.
DA times, lodgements, stop the clock? What is the, what's
It just says
the premise?
gross days. Assessment times, gross days.
So gross days isn't stop the clock provisions under the Act.
Okay, no, well, I'm just saying that I asked the director
Well,
whether
why
he's
don't you
aware of
provide
this
that to the
report.
director, so
Okay.
he will know where it is.
Okay,
Put
and
in a motion.
is it true or not true that once we have our DA approved, is there a waiting time for a construction certificate after the DA is approved?
Through the chair, the only waiting time is for me then is to certify to assess them and to issue them. So it depends on the number of development applications. I've got a few planners that are assessing them, so they come to me quicker than I can get this construction certificates out. So sometimes there is a delay, a few days, other times it might be a week, but.
So it's pretty minuscule.
Through the chair, yes, I believe so.
Okay, well, that's good. That's different to the information that was given me. Thank you.
So through the chair, I just want to, so as part of our grow our own policy, we're also growing our own health and building surveyors as well.
That.
The last thing that we would want is Damien doing construction city assessments, but it takes that time in order for us to get up to that speed.
Well, look, I'm not having a shot at the staff. This was delivered to me in one Thursday in the letterbox. Someone out there is concerned. But if the portal's that bad, why don't we get on to the state government and change it? Now, Chris Minns, when he come in, took 175 planners of commercial development Sydney and put them onto residential development because the portal's that bad. So why aren't we putting some pressure on Chris Minns?
Through the chair, every single local government authority has said to the state government, this is not working.
But if you keep barking at the item, eventually we might win out.
I can assure you, Councillor, that every time this comes up at any of the meetings we have, the state government cops a lot of flack.
And we're all supporting
I agree, but you had a local member that used to be in power, and you could talk to him, so you might as well talk to the concrete wall. He wasn't going to fix anything. But you need some people that's going to fix this and make it simpler for our staff, so it gets through quicker.
I go one step further. There's councils out there now putting dedicated staff on the Derwentwood portal. Like, we don't have the capacity to do that, but they are actively putting people in positions to do with the portal.
Okay. All right, anyone else got anything? Put the motion, all in favour? Passed, all right. Technical services now. Recommendations report, item 14.3 is receipt of information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Trembard, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation to receive the report. Roadwork looks good, going along, everyone's nice and careful going up Rosemount Road. I'd like to thank all the staff for being considerate along there. Abercrombie Road, the Rotunda, the Rose Wall looks absolutely amazing. There's been some community feedback saying they're getting really excited for when all of the caricatures go up. And yeah, nothing further to add on that. It's a good job.
Through the chair, I'm sort of waiting for where is a good segue to bring something like this up. But the issues around an opening for the living treasures or the treasures wall is something that we discussed. So can I throw it out there for council to consider?
Second to organise first.
Apologies, Mr. Mayor.
Second might be putting an amendment about that.
Way out of my depth. I apologise.
That's okay. I second exactly the comments made by Councillor Hayden. Nothing further.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I could segue into.
I do so.
I just take it as, I believe it's something that we understand that a lot of our treasures aren't living anymore. However, I believe that there's probably some relatives out there that might be interested in an opening, and how we do that and what that is about is something that I'd seek some guidance from council on what they want to do. I know that Councillor McCarthy's indicated like maybe a barbecue or something at some point in time, and so I just raise it for your indulgence, and any ideas you have would be handy.
I agree with Councillor McCarthy that we need to have an opening. He has suggested the long weekend, and I think either the Friday before the long weekend or the Monday of the long weekend are probably the best options if people are going to have to travel from distances to come up here. Yeah, any thoughts?
I thought the Saturday, the long weekend, that they might be here.
Yeah, Saturday.
Say 10 o'clock in the morning, with just sausage sandwiches and stuff like that.
Is there going to be a ribbon cutting or anything?
We will.
With Balloon?
I think if Valud comes up at the age of 100, that would be wonderful, but I don't think it is necessarily a very smart idea to.
But she's not unwell.
She's 100.
Mr. Mayor, I've probably gone a bit beyond, and it's outside the scope of this, but if we can take it and run with it, I'm happy to provide something to councils in their consideration rather than try and get a solution now.
Well, yeah, it'll be before the next meeting, so you'll have to do it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the rest of the
Sorry,
stuff. All right, mover and second. Anyone else got anything to say?
Roses are ordered, are they, or on their way?
I have no idea.
Now would be the time they haven't planned it, that's all.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit dry.
Councillor.
Just a quick question. So on the bottom of page 107, the two options there are the two options that are, it's the second, it's the first option that is what Councillor McCarthy requested, is it? The full width asphalt seal from Albion's to just north. And option one just includes several smaller areas of full width asphalt. They're the two options, aren't they, through
the mayor, yeah, that's correct.
So the first one is what was proposed by Councillor McCarthy if we had enough money, and the second one is what we're going to do anyway if we don't have enough money, but we're pricing both options. The right comprehension?
That's
right. Good. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. All right. No one else is putting their hand up. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 14.4, monthly activity report for corporate services and recommendations at item 14.4 is received with information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor Trimbarth, Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the recommendation to receive the report. Notice there's been a lot going on, a lot of planning coming up as well. Black Springs hall kitchen finally done, and now just waiting for Spark Electrical to go out and do that stove. Is there any feedback on that through the chair to the corporate services director?
Through the chair, I don't have a ETA on that just yet. I'll follow it up.
It's okay. And we've got a lot of activities coming up, and I think it's going to be a wonderful few months leading up to Christmas, and everyone's going to be flat out. So thank you.
Happy to second the report and thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just, we won't know until Maddie takes the roof off on number 5, the independent living units. But I think when we done the ones up in Balfour Street facing the other way, we had to put divisions in there, took the opportunity while the roof was off. And I think we put divisions to stop the fire in between each unit. So that might be a scope that you might have to add to your works.
So the chair will take that on note.
Yeah.
Anyone else? So I put the motion, all in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 14.5, investments report, recommendations report. Item 14.5 is received with information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the recommendation, move that report. Nothing further to add.
Thank you, Councillor McCarthy.
No, I'm right, thank you. Thank you.
Councillor King, any comments on interest?
Just that I'm very happy with the way interest is, and as I said, 10% would be fair for everyone.
All right, I'll put the motion on the vote. Oh, sorry, Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note that there's a delta of 70,000 between what we're earning on the STP loan and what we're actually paying. Is there any way we can draw back on the loan and not draw down on it until we actually need it, so that we're not paying as much? Because we're not using the 3 million yet, are we?
No, through the chair, that comment was put in there based on a comment we had the last council meeting. Based on what we are getting for that loan now, would make sense to keep it where it is. That gap will close very quickly. We held that STP loan in a big saver for deployment to the project, and when the pathway was a bit more clear in timeline, we put it in some term deposits. So we're getting a much better yield on that interest now than the fixed rate that we've locked in on that STP loan.
Yeah.
So that gap will close quite quickly.
Okay, yeah, I'm just worried that obviously we're paying 70,000, there's a 70,000 delta for nothing at this stage, but if you're telling me it's going to narrow considerably and the interest received vis-a-vis the interest paid is going to be negligible, I'm happy with that, but 70,000 is 70,000. Right, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is passed. Grants update, August 23, and the recommendation is item 14.6 is received with information. Councillor Hayden. Councillor McKibben. Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the report. It's such a shame we've been unsuccessful with a few of those grants, so hopefully we can get some success with some of the others there.
Get used to it. Councillor McKibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I agree with Councillor Hayden. In particular, it's very very disheartening that we weren't successful in either of our betterment fund applications. It was probably wishful thinking to be that we'd be successful with both, but I think we hope that we would be successful with at least one. The Drought Resilience Regional Strategic Economic Plan, the 450,000 from 3 councils, and I know the Mayor has been talking about this on radio, and that we've engaged, I think it's WSP, to do a plan. WSP will obviously come back with how we engage with our community and parts to work this through with the three councils, so.
I have seen dates for their visits here, and I can't recall what they are.
9th of October is the first plane visit.
And they go to Barrier as well.
Barrier,
Right, so who are they, have we got a list of people they're engaging with, or?
yeah, through the JET, they've spoken to a number of the folks from the Barrier associations to help rally some good feedback and participation in that workshop, and also doing a session in Oberon earlier that day. So all the comms and things for that will continue to promote people to attend these workshops.
Right, okay, so it's the 9th of October. We got a meeting that day? No.
It's,
No, I think it's the 10th. 9th's a Monday?
Yes.
I think the 10th we've got meetings and the 12th.
9th is a Monday, yeah.
10th and 12th.
Can you give those dates and times out to all councillors?
It'll come as part of our suite of documents to get there.
Yeah.
Suite of times.
I think I've put them in my diary already from the discussion. With some of them the other day, but I didn't have the 9th, I'm not attending that, forget to. All right, thank you very much. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's almost the same question I asked last month, but it appears I misunderstood the answer based on the discussion we had at the STP meeting a week or so ago. We've got 2 applications, and I just want to make sure I now got it totally clear. We've got 2 applications in for the same amount, 3.05 million. When I asked last month, I said, so total of 6.1 million. Yes, that's right. But based on our discussion last week, am I right in thinking that if one gets approved, then the other one lapses? We can't get both of them.
So through the JET, those two, one is a state
one state,
and one is a federal. So we've applied for just over 3 million under both funds.
Yeah.
They're not connected. So at the moment, we're hoping if one is approved, then we would then use that to go forward. But they're not connected. So
is it possible they could both be approved and we could get 6.1 million?
through the JET, that is possible. That could happen. That would be a good
that's again different from what we were told at the STP meeting.
But the chances of that happening are pretty.
No, I understand it may be, but maybe a small chance. But my understanding from the STP meeting was that we can't get both. If one gets approved, the other one lapses.
So through the chair, the rationale behind that is because we already have state funding for this. So our chances of getting additional state funding on top, having a double dip, is not something that they'll consider. Which is what the commentary was.
So which is the state one? The 19th of May or the 1st of August?
The 19th of May is the state program.
So what we're saying is it's highly unlikely we'll get that, but we have made the application.
We are hopeful to get both. But the concern is, as was raised, was that the double dipping in grant funding isn't something the state is comfortable in providing.
Okay.
Which is why we said we don't want to get people's hopes up in terms of.
No, I understand all that part of it, but it's a little bit different from what I understood at the STV meeting, which again was different from what I thought we were told at the last ordinary meeting. And I'm just trying to be clear. It is possible, but highly unlikely we'll get both.
We do all buy the views.
Yeah. Okay. Not out of the fund.
No. Okay. Everyone happy? All right. Move the motion. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Water and sewage plant, item 14.7, and the recommendations of which should be received as information. Councillor Hayden, Councillor McKechnie. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the report. Nothing further to add.
Councillor McKechnie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is pretty straightforward. It's good to see that the dam was still actually trickling over last week. So the drought broken, Paul Toole was saying. But I noticed the usage is still pretty steady, even though it has been reasonably dry. So at the moment, it's all good, very good, no problem with water.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Touch wood, if only you can say that, Ruben. If only you can say that.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion passed.
Nick's become a poet.
Item 14.8, status of council resolutions. Recommendations regarding receipt of information. Councillor McKibben. And who would like to second it? Councillor Tremba.
Thank you. I commend the staff on this report because it's all been updated, and most items have been updated in September. I suppose the first question is, I think the the issue of the corner at Abercrombie, and I suppose it's Dog Rocks Road, Campbell's River Road, has fallen off, so I'm assuming that Mr. Scott has not put in his plan or anything else.
Through the chair.
Within the 2 month period.
There has been no additional.
Within 2 month period, so that's why it's gone off the list, is that right?
I didn't think that we pulled it off the list.
It's not there, I don't think, and that's why I missed it.
The date's up, so.
It needs to go off the list because it was back in 20th of the 4th, 2002.
2002.
2022.
Yes, but then we had actions signed. One of them was that we gave him 2 months to come back with a plan.
2 months.
And I'm not sure if the 2 months is off. If the 2 months is, yeah, I think it should have.
2 months is up.
But it probably should have had a item there.
Yeah.
No report, no plan received, lapsed or something. I don't know if there's any others, but that one came to, that one I noticed.
I'll take it on notice.
I just think we should have formally something, say 2 months has elapsed, and because that's, then we can say, right, it's off.
Opportunity was given.
Yes, opportunity was given, and that, it's formally noted in one of our minutes that it has lapsed, which is, we can point to him and say, you're given it, that's the date it lapsed. And you can see it on the council minutes, all right? So, maybe, put it in the October one or something, but, that'd be good. I think that's the only comment I have, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Tremba.
I'm in shock. Other than I'm shocked and I have nothing further to add.
Anyone else got comments or questions? Councillor McCarthy?
With the item in Gwendolyn Avenue on my page is 590, but anyway. Does any of the announcement that happened today help us get in the house on that premises?
So through the chair, my understanding is the Australia Housing Bill has now some support between the two parties, and we're waiting for details on what that is.
Okay.
The state, no. It'll be the Fed bill that we'd be looking at tapping.
So the coalition are now supporting it? Or is it?
I think they got support.
The Greens, I thought the Greens were supporting it.
I did not say the Greens.
Sorry?
I meant the Greens if I didn't say the Greens.
No. When you said the two part,
Okay, anyone else? Put the motion, all in favour? Passed unanimously. We have no urgent business, so we will go into confidential shortly. For those who have been following us on Zoom and those who are following us in the press gallery, thank you for your attendance. I'll see you sometime tomorrow afternoon, perhaps.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Give you a call. All right. Good night.
Right, thanks for being so patient.
Stop recording, please. Item 16.01. council resolve that in accordance with T 2023/11, proceed with the purchase of one new 2024 Kenworth Bowden Drive truck and tipper with 3-axle tipping trailer. Option the existing 2010 Western Star fitted with aluminium slide built tipping body and a 2011 3-axle slide built tipping trailer. Following delivery of the new 2024 Kenworth truck with aluminium and 3-dog trailer. 3, the council ensure that there are adequate maintenance facilities for the truck and trailer in the local area prior to signing the contracts, and delegate the general manager authorisation to sign contracts and authorise associated payments to the appointed vendor up to the appointed amount. Item 1602, that council accept tender submission from RBK Proprietary Limited for the supply and installation of new guardrails for the next 3-year period from 1 October 2023 to 31 September 2026. And delegate the general manager authorisation to sign contracts and authorise associated payments for the appointed vendor up to the appointed amount. Thank you, councillors. Thank